54 of Roughshot Ramblings. I'm your host, Stone Hobbit, and today I have the very lovely Veronica Bartolini with me, and we're going to discuss all sorts of craziness. So, Veronica, would you like to give yourself an introduction so people know who you are and what you're
Thank you
about?
very much.
Another round of episode 54 of Roughshot Ramblings. Go for it.
Grab your popcorn and remember that life is like a box of chocolates and it's what you make of it. I'm Veronica Bartolini with Codebreaker Real Talk. I also have Unchained Hearts, and I started with Unchaining Hearts before that got hacked. But hey, I started again and I said, new slate, new me. You know, it is what it is, and we keep going. And I have been in the secret space program since I was a year and a half. I was taken at a year and a half and was placed in different school functions. As a 3-year-old, I was placed in Head Start here. I have been, oh my gosh, I have had 33 surgeries so far. I'm 54 years old. I didn't realize I was in the secret space program as a super soldier. Well, actually, the name that they gave me was, DOD gave me the name of special soldier.
Yeah.
So it's something is popping up here. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's been a wild ride. The Montauk program has been the hellish one. I've also been in Mars, Neptune, Pluto, the Moon. I was in the Mars Wars. I have just recently gone through 2 types of cancer. That's the 3rd time in my life. Just last year, they took my lower left lung. They've tried to take me out. I've had myopsia liposarcoma stage 3. They took out my lower extremity later, 2 blood transfusions later. So it's 4 surgeries, 2 blood transfusions, and here I am still. I'm just not going to quit. And I'm telling people what happened in the secret space program. They also used me as a sex kitten altar for the assassin program with the CIA. I was in the military, and one person said, "Oh, it must have been your cover." And I was also a police officer here for South Tucson Police. And what you see in the background is Sheila the She-Hulk. I was in the Hulk program. I call the other program Crystal Gates, which is the Dolphin program. I was one of the teachers I graduated at age 16, and I was also a guard in Montauk. And I was also they did a lot of stuff to me, gruesome stuff, as you were talking in your last show. So thanks for having me on.
You're most welcome. So we'll get straight into it. Do you want to tell us when you first sensed something wasn't quite right with you, and like, when did you first realize that there was more going on in your reality so that you could step into the SSP character? When did your memories start flooding back that you were doing all these different missions, appointments,
It started when I was in the police academy. I didn't realize what it was. I was going through a lot of harsh training, and I already had my military background. But as a child, I'll go back to that. I had a lot of nightmares. A lot of nightmares. A lot of things were going on at home where I was being abused, both sexually, physically, verbally. And what happened is I snapped when I was 13. They took out my dad. He committed suicide when I was 13. So they actually able to put more of my altars there, like the assassin one, the katana, the one that fights with her fans. Her fans are pretty much her knives. I have Soel, who's served in Mars. I started getting some of those memories when I was in the police academy, but I thought they were just nightmares. Okay,
Yeah.
and I would see people in my dreams, even as a child, with faces hanging out, like hanging, like falling off, like all bloody, and I'm like, what am I doing here? Is this Halloween? Is this a Halloween scene that I'm seeing? What is going on? As a child, speaking of Halloween, that was my favorite. My favorite time of the year was Halloween because I could dress up like I wanted. I was usually a gypsy or a witch or a cowgirl. And then even now, I still dress like death, which is muerte, because I think I've earned it. I ended up shooting myself in 2010, Halloween of 2010. I had dressed myself as a Rob Zombie. I had already worked about 55 to 60 hours as a police officer. I have done the extra hours that we do. We do some off duty gigs, which is the Rob Zombie. I was there with Rob Zombie, Alice Cooper, like different shows that we could do after just doing regular police work. And I had come home, and before that I was seeing a lot of things that I had not seen. I was seeing blood on my bed, like I was hearing not really voices, but just saying, you need to kill yourself because nobody loves you. Your kids don't love you. Your husband took out $100,000 policy. So later on, I found out when I died for 3 days in the hospital. I saw that there was a lot of doctors. The only thing that I remember is seeing these doctors that were around me, and I didn't know where I was. 20 doctors saved me, and I was in the hospital 3 days. I saw so many things there that we could talk about later. They lied to you about either going to heaven or hell. It's not like that. The blue beings were trying to take my soul. Then I saw them cut off, like half were cut off. Their bodies were cut off, I should say. They were dark charcoal blue, staring at me, like trying to catch me. And I was in my nightgown, the gown that they give you at the hospital. And I saw a white light around. Sorry about the noise. I saw a white light around the door, and I opened the door, and I came back to the room, and the beans were gone, but my dad was in the corner, and he was alive there. And I said, well, I want to stay with you. I don't want to come back. And after crying and begging him, I don't know how many times, he said, no, you have to go back. You're not done. You have 2 children that love you. And I came back, and it was hell for a long time. What is interesting is I went through more near-death experiences because later on I took some pills. I'm like, you know what? I don't want to be here. I still don't want to be here. First it was with a gun. It didn't work. Okay, maybe the pills will work. They had me on 20 psych meds plus a CPAP. That included heart medication, lung medication, you name it. I gained so much weight. I think I was weighing like 300 pounds and sick, as horribly sick. It's horrible. I wrote about it in my Life in the Secret Space program, how my son was taken away from me very unjustly. My ex tried to take my daughter away. His attorney blackmailed me, showing me these pictures. I really don't want to get into that. It's in my book. But just a lot of things in life were trying to stop me from what I'm doing now, is just speaking about it and keeping me from loving my children and being here with my children and being here with you, Stone, just getting the word out to these programs are real. They're black ops, they're military, Department of Defense, the Navy's on top, and then we have the other, what I call humans with technology. People call them aliens. I always say I come from the future because I have seen so many things happen in life. For example, in March of 2019, I saw that there was this black DNA strand that was over the people's heads. And in Spanish, it's called la silla del entendimiento, which is the chair of all wisdom and abundance, right? Of all knowing. And I saw how they were using the laser, which is pretty much the targeting of certain individuals to get them to believe into this news and to get into fear and then pretty much kill them off. With the whole thing with what we all know what happened in the hospitals, how they would invert people and things like that for them to not even be able to breathe and care for their life. So a lot of things happened to where they wanted me dead. And the last thing I did was, I believe it was in 2017 or 2018, when I finally said, you know what, if there is a God, and not the God that they talk about in the Bible studies on Sundays, not, you know, Buddha, Krishna, not all these things that they tell us to believe in. Show me, because I'm going to kill myself this time. This time I'm going to do it right. That would be like the fifth time. And I was just really sad. My children, I was not talking to them. I was homeless. Okay, I've been homeless, and the people that I had to live with, unfortunately, I didn't know back then what a psychic was, or that I was psychic, that I can do things and see things in the astral to change the timelines here, and just et cetera, et cetera. So the person that I was living with just began to be very jealous of me, even though she was teaching me things, and then her husband too. I'm pretty much a shaman. He taught me how to do certain things, that I know how to clear hexes and things like that. A lot of things. Anyway, it got to the point where I had a rosary in my left hand. I had a candle, one or two candles in front of me, and I was just praying. I said, if there is a God out there that truly loves me and gives a shit about me, like, I need to know, because that's it. I don't want to be here anymore. Everything's been taken away from me. What
Yeah.
is there to live with, right? For and this shooting star I saw from the window of my room. I was sharing a room. The star came and it went shooting star, and then it went on the floor, and it just made this loud noise. And at the same time, there was a white light that came out of my heart. And I knelt to the ground and I said, "What is going on? What is this?" And I knelt and I said, "What is going on?" And then the people I was living with, they said, "Veronica, what are you doing here opening portals? We don't need that." And I'm like, "What the hell is a portal?" I got up from my knees and we went outside to see what happened, because the shooting star, something hit that was on fire. But there was nothing on the floor, nothing on the ground. There was a couple that lived next to us in the trailer too, and they're like, "What the hell just happened?" I said, "Did you see that?" "Yes." "Did you hear that?" "Yes." And there was nothing, no evidence. Well, that evidence is me. Years
Yeah.
later, it took me years later to find out that I'm a walk-in. I don't really like that term, because, okay, you
Yeah.
see Sheila in the background. She's in the
Yeah.
tank. That's how they had me, with the octopus in the neck and on my spine. And I've had two spine surgeries. I'm getting ready for a third one, because these motherfuckers had me tied up, in underground in the submarine, and they had my soul.
Yeah.
Okay, and I released myself. And so I'm here to tell you that, whew, we own our soul, we own our heart.
Yeah.
This avatar is an avatar that they made for us, but we are the living bioluminescence that I talk about. We are, if you want to talk about Christ, we are the Christ. We're the
Yeah.
crystal. We are the enlightened, and we're the 144, and we're here for you. So go ahead, Stone Hobbit. Let me go ahead and close the door here, because it's pretty rowdy here. I'll be right back.
Right. That's right. No, that's good. I can relate to a lot of what you're saying there. I never, in the early days, I never knew what a SSP was, and I didn't class myself one, and I didn't know what a walk-in was. I didn't know the languages, and it was like, oh wow, I can relate to that experience, but I didn't know that there were terminologies with it. Back
Right.
in the 90s, it was I think it was about 96, 95, 96. I met a good friend of mine who was able to, he knew the terminologies for the abilities that I had. And so through when I was able to show him, because he wanted to see magic, and I was able to, just talk to spirits. They could come and go. I could see dead people all my life. I don't look at them as dead people. They're not dead. To me, they're alive. I've pulled my car over to the side of the road waiting for these people to go across the road when nobody else could see them. That sort of thing. And it's like, I started seeing that we're not alone here. I felt very alone all my life. And then one day I realized, oh, wait a minute. You've got those beings over there, and you've got the old woman with the bun in her hair, and you've got this and that. You're never alone. And like what you were saying, when about the walk-in, a few years back, I was like, well, I can relate to that, but I don't want to turn around and say, and I'm possessing this body, because when I came in as at birth, like my biological unit called mother. you know, she went into premature labor a month earlier than expected for me. And the child that was meant to be, and I believe that this, you know, strongly believe that the reason she went into labor was because the soul of the entity that was meant to be in this vessel buggered off. She saw what it was going to be like in this lifetime and couldn't deal with it. So I'm out. I'm still looking out for her. She'll be around somewhere, and when I do find her, you know, we'll compare life stories, I'm sure. And so it's like everything that I'd gone through in my lifetime came down to being able to step out of my body, out of my vessel, when trauma was hitting me. And that was a learning process. And I got to see that there was all these different stages of learning. It wasn't just the physical, how to deal with pains. And every time I got to a certain level of pain tolerance, they would up it again. They would throw something heavy at me. And when I got past that, they'd throw on a different, you know, psychological, you know, level. And I'd get past that. So all the traumas and all the, you know, all the loss and the shame and the guilt and all the programmings that they put on me it was splintered each part of me. I know that I've been to other planets. I know I've interacted with many different beings, but I can't tell you their names and I can't tell you exactly what planets, but I can tell you landscape. I can tell you missions that I've been on. I can draw and describe the beings that I've interacted with, both shipwise and otherwise. And then it comes into, oh, you're a witch. When, you know, when I'm younger, you were a witch because you had these abilities. Don't talk about your other family. You know, this was approved in this lifetime that I had a reincarnation as a child in this country. So that was out of it for me there. So by seeing that and seeing images of people that have passed on, you know, out of the body, out of the shell, and doing where they're doing. Some of them have even come back now while I'm here. I got to see what my job was before I got pushed out of the job I was in into this vessel. You know, it was like, okay, well, what are we going to do? The soul stepped out. We can't waste this genetic material. We've built it for this reason. And it's a bloodline. It's, you know, what's going to best fit with this vessel. So here I am. And then it was like, okay, well, now I've seen possession. I was able to deal with seeing different entities entering into other people that I knew. One minute they were all good and all of this. Next minute they were absolutely horrendous. It wasn't even them. I'd see their faces shapeshift. And how can you tell somebody when you're younger, oh man, that just shapeshifted? Because I didn't even know what shapeshifting was back then. It was just a natural thing that I saw. So when I watched cartoons and shows and stuff of superheroes and they were doing these things, it was like, oh wow, I can relate to that. You know, there's a lot out there. The abilities of being able to be telepathic with the different beings coming in and going out. And having to, you know, at first it was, I wanted to make my family proud. I wanted, you know, because all the programming is, you've got to follow in the footsteps of somebody in your family. You've got to be this, you've got to be that. And so you as a child, you're looking for that. You're always looking to please your parents or those around you because this is the programming. And throughout that, I got to see there was a heck of a lot more going on. You know, I'd go to bed one minute and I'd wake up in another building, another house, and this was in real life. You know, my parents would basically drug what I was eating and stuff because they were part of this bigger process that I went through. And they would be paid for these programs because they were also in these programs. I didn't even know these programs existed at this stage. It was just, I believed that every kid, every person was going through this because it was just such a natural thing. Later on, I got to see, well, no, not everybody does go through this, but they do go through different steps of what you've been through. So I might have gone through 6 or 7 different layers and they might have only gone through 1 or 2. So they're not going to be able to relate to the rest of the scenarios that have gone through. So that's when you go through the guilt, blame, shame game because they start turning around and calling you a liar and all of this other stuff. And it's like, hey, wait a minute. You wake up one day and go, I don't need to bloody prove myself to anybody. This is my life. This is my experience. And this is what it's done to me. This is where I'm at. Like yourself, in the early days, everything was going crazy in hell for me, and I'd lost my first son, and I tried to commit harikari as well, and I took all these different forms of medication stuff and alcohol, and I just woke up the next morning, nothing was wrong, and it didn't matter how many times I tried. I got to a stage where I was basically telling myself I failed at that too. And then I got an award. I got a certificate saying, wow, this is, I'm not going to tell you what it was for. Wow, you can really do this. Keep doing this. Don't let this go. This is something that you're good at. Keep going with it. So I did. And I watched every single angle that I went with it. There was always a predator out there trying to step in, take it away, influence me. And that never changed. Every stage of my life up until now, a couple of years ago, I should say, I didn't know who I was. I was always trying to find out who I was. Why was I different? I had, like you were saying, we step into these different characters. I had an incident where I was doing what we call a party bus display. I used to do sword fighting with real weaponry and stuff. And this is part of the programs. They train us in this lifetime with weaponry, different weaponry skills, hand-to-hand combat, the whole works. And we think it's just an art form, or it's just a hobby or a sport. But there's actually a little bit more to it. And that's what I've discovered with going into these different states. Now, you were saying something before. I wanted to know, when you're talking about the dream states you go into to have these experiences, have you, I would assume you have experienced night terrors. Yes. I look at night terrors as accessing different dimensions. Does that have similar for you, or you want to describe a night terror that you've had? And
well, there's so many. Okay, I'll talk about the one, and I can connect with people that are here or dead. So last night I was thinking about someone, and then he was in my dream, and then I was thinking about someone else, and then he said, "Hey, Veronica, you in my dream? You were in my dream 3 times," because I can go into people's dream space. Now, as far as when Renetta Jones died, I didn't know who she was. May she rest in power wherever you are. I know you must be on another mission. Because what happened was there was a shooting going on in the dream. Okay. And I'll tell you about the shooting that happened here that I didn't know what was going on. But in my dream, in my astral, there was a shooting going on. People were running in the streets, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? There was a vehicle parked in a house. Apparently it was my house. And there was a white couple. The man was in a suit. The lady was dressed up as well. They were in a vehicle waiting for somebody. So I go inside my house. There's Renetta Jones in the kitchen. I've never met her that I know. Okay, maybe in the astral we worked together. She was wearing a thing on her hair, and she had a something square that was covered with some kind of scarf. Okay, and she said, "Veronica, I need to give this to you." And I don't know what it is to this day, because I am in charge of a lot of the paperwork of the super soldiers. I'm also a DNA activator, and I'm also a super soldier DOD. I didn't know this until 2 months ago. I'm a recruiter, okay? Because I'm Commander Aurora is my name out there, or Commander B. But she gave me something. Take care of this, she said. And then she had a daughter in the dream. So I don't know if she's ever had an abortion or what, or if she's had a daughter, or maybe I don't know. The young girl was there, and they were in a hurry. She said, "Veronica, I have to go, but can I please have the key to your house out there?" Apparently I had another house out there, like a little guest house. I said, "Yes, but hurry, because there's some people out there. There's a shooting going on." And I gave her the key. Now, when she left, there was a huge circle, which we call a wormhole. And I was holding on to that wormhole, because I have the ability of holding on to wormholes and things like that, bringing back relics, or just holding it. And there was a lot of, and I was also a pilot at the same time. I was in uniform at this time, because at the house I was not in uniform. Then I'm in uniform. And then these older couples, even some were Asian, wormhole. Some old ass people were coming in, some teenagers were there, and I'm like, fuck, what did I do? Like, did I change the timeline when I woke up? Then someone told me there was a shooting that day, that when I was dreaming, there was a shooting at the mall, one of the malls here.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell? And they finally caught the guy on camera. But it's just really wild like that. The demons that come in, some of the time they want to tell me things, like Azazel and Kizaham, his, I don't know if I'm saying it right, but his twin flame, what they call twin flame, they come to me often, and I don't want to talk to them, but sometimes they have messages. So when the 3-Eye Atlas bullshit came in, I'm like, what the fuck is that, right? A lot of people are like, oh, they're aliens and they're taking care of us and they're giving us some mercy and they're gonna give us some salvation. I'm like, nah, it's a bunch of bullshit. So what I saw is that it's a military ship with alien technology, and I still see that. I see that it's a spy thing. They're spying on us to see who's gonna obey. Same shit like they did with the whole CV thing, right? So here's Azazel in my dream showing me these 4 ships, and they're in cloud form, but I can barely see like the ship forming in there. And which is funny because I don't remember his name, but on Facebook he posts a lot of pictures of different crafts that are here. And guess what? The 3-Eye Atlas was in cloud form, and it was dark. And I'm like, what the hell? That's this. I didn't know until later, So in my dream, he's showing me these different crafts, and then they said the war is with the Nephilim and another race, but they didn't tell me the race. Okay, but the Nephilim are here already, and I'm like, yeah, I know they're here. They're connected to Saturn, connected to Aleister Crowley. Everybody that's been here for a while knows that it's also connected to Barbara Bush. That's connected to the moon. That's connected to Earth. It's a triangle to have, reincarnation, and the fences around here to take our energy. Okay, whether it's good, bad, whether you're laughing, whether you're crying, they always try and take that from us.
Yeah.
So got to be on guard. And then he showed me another ship, and then I looked closer, and it was me with long dark hair, and my 2 cats were right beside me. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? He's like, we're always watching you, V. We're always watching you. I'm like, okay, motherfuckers, you can watch me all you want. I'm here. Like, I can't run away. You're not letting me leave, right? And I always say I'm from the future. And I just had a show with Soma, and she said, yeah, the Pleiadians always tell me that we're here from the future. And I'm like, I wonder how many lives we've lived and things like that. Another night terror. Well, this is when my dad had just took his life. I was 13 years old.
Yeah, okay.
It was going to be Valentine's Day the next day. I remember because last night, it's so funny. I was thinking about my dad last night, and I was like, Dad, man, why'd you leave? But I was in my second drawer in the hallway. We had a little trailer where I had to share the room with my 2 sisters. And the second drawer in the hallway was mine. And I was putting away my Valentine's little cards. And I was so happy. I had my dress already ready that my mom had got me. It was really nice. This time it was not secondhand. It was new. I was so excited, right? And then my mom comes and tells me the news. Your dad's blah, 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 dead, whatever. Hi, Dave Walker. How are you? And then two nights later, there was a little sofa in the dream that my sister used to have, but it was in the living room. So the little sofa was in my room, and my dad's head was rolling, cut off. Rolling.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh my gosh, with no eyes, all black, and it's just horrible. And then just a lot of others, man. I've written them down, and they're in my books. Sheila and the 99. The second book is my Life in the Secret Space Program, which is a rundown of my military experience, police, and the abuse that happened at home, because I was also married to a police officer that would hurt me. And I couldn't tell my chief because it's all the good old boy club, right? So I thought, man, if I say anything, they're probably I'm going to lose my job here, I ended up losing everything later. But what was I going to say? I'm sorry, I lost track. But there's there's one where I think this is part of Montauk or the Assassin, something like that. I'm somewhere in Europe, and I'm like, it's part of a castle, and I'm outside. But then there's a man inside a home. It's really dark now. It begins to get dark. And there's a man that I'm trying to save because they pulled up with the gun and shot him, and he fell to the ground. And I ran in there, and I'm like, oh shit, I gotta help this guy or whatever. Then the scene turns to daylight, and it's a lot of rocks up there, a lot of rocks. And I'm looking over, like, if you like throw yourself out, you can die. It's that high. I don't know how many feet, maybe 300,000 feet. But then I'm holding a box. There's two guys with rifles with M16s, and then I already put away my M16, and they were just like looking at me behind the rocks, and I'm like, what the hell is this? There's a box. Guess what I'm carrying in the box? My head.
Oh, geez. Yeah. Okay.
My head is in the box, and I'm like, wait a minute. I still have my head on. Why is my head in the box?
Yeah.
Jack in the box. Jack in the box.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So they're setting up this beautiful little teacups and crumpets, and I run down the hallway. Yep, it's Alice in Wonderland. Okay,
Yep.
It's the Alice program. And so then I go into the hallway. I'm getting goosebumps because you're
And I did too. I did too.
A lot of people don't understand. You're the first person that's understood that dream.
I know those programs. They had me in those programs. I think I must have been. It was the same year Princess Di and Charles got married. So that's when everything like you're saying. I just recently discovered everything has a timestamp because I have so much missing time because I can be here doing something, doing daily tasks or driving or whatever, but I will then suddenly have missing time. I don't know how I got from A to B. I know I did, but I was somewhere else doing a mission. I was doing another job, and I'll come back with wounds and stuff, and it'll be later on down the track when that timestamp will come up, and it'll go, oh, you remember this? And I'll be like, no. And then something will be said, a trigger. And then boom, it just comes flooding back in. Oh, damn, I know where I was. I know what I was doing. Wow, how is that possible to be in two places at once? But it is very possible. And this whole Alice in Wonderland, I mean, this is not the only book out there. This is not the only program that's out there. There's so many like this that we read it as kids and think, okay, this is just a story, but it's actually a trigger. It's building time zones, and it's like you were saying, you're a time traveler. This is the whole thing. We are time travelers. We can go forward, we can go back, we can go into different parallel universes. As soon as, and I say we do this through what I call the accessing dimensions through the night terrors. It's not just, you don't have to be asleep for this to happen. I've been wide awake and gone into trances and had stuff happen around me. So as you were saying, carry on.
Yes, I believe you, because when I had that vision, I had just done a show, and I was just like clicking away on my laptop, and all of a sudden I got that vision of boots on the ground and the whole thing with the CV before it happened. I'm like, what the fuck? And I have seen the floods that are coming. Okay, they're coming from California. I also believe that it could be part of Project Blue that they're doing here in Tucson, Arizona. So it might be coming sooner than I thought. I thought maybe 2036, but it might be sooner. Anyway, going back to this, yes, just last week I found a huge, and I didn't post this one because I'm posting stuff too much, and I'm like, I better. It's too much. There was a bruise on my left lower leg, and I'm like, what happened? And the week before that, it was on my hand, and I'm like, I thought it was paint from the paint that I do. I'm like, no, it's a fucking huge bruise like that, and a bruise on my leg. Like, what the hell happened, right? But going back to that same dream, Alice in Wonderland, and the Jack in the Box thing, I went down the hallway. Now in the hallway, there was the beings again. That they were just regular humans with half of their head hanging out, like oozing out. And you know where that comes from? That comes from when I was in 5th grade. I was 4th grade. Sorry, I was chosen by Mrs. Norris' class. Me and another guy. We got all of our states and capitals correct. And guess what they did? They took me and that guy, Robert, his name was, to go see the Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
Where all the faces are hanging out like that. Okay. Well, the same faces like that were in this dream. And I was trying to call my mom, and on the freaking, I couldn't find a phone in the hallway. I found a payphone Superman. We are Cal L. We are
Yeah.
Cal L.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I did a whole class on that. Anyway, I'm on the phone, the payphone, and I talked to one of my aunts in Mexico. She was still alive. She just died last year. I'm so sad. But I called her. I go, Tia Luz, tell my mom I am not dead. Tell her that whatever they tell her, I'm not dead. And I'm still holding my head in the box. I hang up and I go, and then I sit down and have tea, and I wake up. Like, what the fuck? There's so many, my goodness. But going to the flood, that is going to happen. I see it. I don't know the time frame, but I've seen a lot of the huge. I call them Poseidon. The huge waves that have like a silver stuff on crest on them, but they're blue and they're huge and tall. And I just heard the other day, and I don't know if it was Argentina or where, there was a huge, a wave like that. But in this mission, and it's kind of long, so hopefully I'll do it really fast. There's a dream before that where I didn't know who it was back then, but Cyrus Parsa was in my dream, and he was very short. I thought it was a gray or whatever, but it looked just like Cyrus, and I didn't know Cyrus back then. I just found out about him like 2 years ago. And then they took him out recently, sadly, like the week before my birthday on last year. It's horrible. So he was like in a penguin suit. He had that little balding thing on him. And then he says, look, Veronica, this is a suit that you have to wear this. And it was a dress. It was like very sexy, like a heart-shaped black dress, with a slit on the side. Beautiful, right? Sleeveless. And then I'm looking in the mirror, and I'm like 16, 17 years old. I'm like, what am I going to do? I have to wear this dress. Okay. And it was one of those long, like half long mirrors that are kind of like on a like maybe 40 degree angle, something like that. Anyway, and I'm looking at myself, and I'm at the airport, and I'm in the bathroom, and I'm the only one there with him. He says, okay, you got to put this on. And I'm like, okay. So then we run to an apartment that we had. It's like a high rise, like in Hollywood somewhere. My mom's making fish tacos. I'm like, what the hell is my mom doing in the dream? But you know how they do with the technology. I'm like, what? And then so she opens the door, and we get on this airplane, and it's just a jet. It's a private jet, and I'm in my dress, and then he's in his suit, and I'm by the window because I love window seats, and he gives me this pen, and it's a black pen, and that's what I remember. I thought, okay, am I a man in black? Am I supposed to like erase these people's memories, or did he erase my memory to go do another mission? So then after that is a dream where I'm on a ship, and it's a 2-tier ship. It's actually 3 tiers. 3-tier ship. It's ours. DOD, ours meaning mine and my crew. And then I look outside. I'm on the 2nd floor, and I look outside in the window, and there's this flood that just comes from this side of my head, which is California on the map.
Yep.
The flood comes, and after the flood, there's people coming from the ocean. The water is retrieving like this.
Yes.
And then the animals are coming, and the people are coming. And I'm like, holy shit, what are we going to do now? So I tell my crew, hey, we got to get this crew in. We got 3 or 4 of those huge screens. We get them in, we sit them down. They have to watch this screen, the message, okay? Because this is what they're going to be doing. Yeah. We got to get them, clean, healed, fed, meds, everything. Checked in, everything. So then I go to the 2nd floor, and I see Susan Long there. I give her some paperwork. I give her a high five for some reason. And then I'm on the 3rd. But I see this guy. He's an alien, a short guy with the, one of those Italian hats.
Oh, yeah.
Big goggle, like huge glasses. And he looks so weird. He looks like a gray. And he's wearing a suit. He's very short. And then he looks at me, and the next thing I know, I'm looking up at him. I'm this small for some reason. And then he gives me a hug, and he says, I'm sorry, I'm Warner Von Braun. Later on, I found out he was Warner Von Braun. I'm sorry I used you in the programs. Forgive me. And I'm like, okay. And then I go up again. I'm still in my uniform. And my daughter hands me this red, huge button.
Yeah. Oh, no, those. Yeah.
And she says, am I ever going to see my dad again? And I said, I don't know. and then I open it's another, it's on the third floor, and it's another area where it's a door, okay, a silver door that opens, and I see Hillary Clinton being held catatonic, like she has a harness, like one of those roller coaster harness when you go on those rides, and she's sitting there like this, can't move, can't talk, she's just her eyes open. I'm like, you son of a bitch, and the other ones are there too. I
Yeah.
see Obama, I see other really evil, like I'm talking evil people, and then my husband's there, my ex-husband, and of course I didn't tell my daughter in the dream. Niece is also with me. So weird. So then she gives me the thing, they leave, and then I blast it.
Yeah.
The ship goes and it disconnects from the main ship, and they're dust. And those motherfuckers are not, they're afraid of us. Okay, Stone, Kristen, because we're here. They're afraid of us.
Yeah.
And we are doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. We're remembering. Okay, we're putting ourselves, everything back together. We get rid of the rubbish that doesn't serve us anymore because it's programs. And once we recognize a program, it has no power. It's lost its power over us. You were saying the red button. I was given a red book, and it had gold writing on it, and had a gold leaf all the way around. It's like like a normal book, but the inside here, which I call the leaf, was all gold. And I kept finding myself going back into these states, and I always had this red book. And I can't tell you what was on the pages just at the moment, but I was given a red book very similar to that back in the day, like when I said, Charles and Diana got married, and it was the Alice in Wonderland.
Oh my gosh.
So, and that pulled me back in, and I'm like, oh wow, this is really going on. Back in those days, I was living in a location which was 25 kilometers away from a so-called secret Chinese military underground base. This is in Western Australia, up in the Pilbara region. 25 k's, you can go. I think it's what is it? It would be east north of Marble Bar. You will find it. Just look up the Chinese secret military base. You'll find it. It's a deep underground one. They totally wiped off the map the actual village that I was living in that was nearby that. And for years and years they said it didn't exist, but I remember so many things that took place there. Like there was back in the 80s when I was over there, there was they called it they said it was Sputnik. It was, a satellite going from across Western Australia right over to Victoria. And then it turned around and came back. Well, I don't know any satellites that do that or any asteroids that do that. And that particular one, my mother and I were on our way home from Marble Bar to this little village we lived at. And she said, there's something coming up behind us. And I looked out the back, and it looked like a fireball. But now I don't see it as a fireball, because I now see it as these plasma spheres that have been coming and visiting me regularly. And these things turned into full-on humanoid shaped beings, and they showed me they were telepathic. And these beings are with us, and they're not just here in the 3D. They're also with us in the other, the different dimensions that we can access. And so this is, more and more information is coming back about the experiences inside these experiences. It's absolutely, it's diabolical. It's a genius had to come up with the amount of places and abilities that we actually have. And this is what I see our governments are scared of, because they are aware that we do have all these technologies, the inner mechanics of our vessels, the brain, the heart, everything has been designed to function. If we were able to tap into everything that we have, we wouldn't need the government. We wouldn't need the food on the trees as sustenance, because we can already generate this. There's just so many areas I want to go with you on this. But what you were saying about the Nephilim and some of the other beings, I just recently, and I've written it up, I haven't posted it out anywhere, but that's coming. I had an experience where I was went into my night terror state, as I do, but this was different. It was back to back. It wasn't like, I'd come out of it and I'd be like, oh, okay, I've got to write this down, and then go into a sleep state and then, go into another dream and stuff. This was straight back in. You're on a mission. You're doing something here. So that started off with, how you were describing the cloud. I have these, when these luminous spheres come in, when they dim their light down so you can't see them, they go up inside it's a semi-mothership, okay? It's not the mothership, it's just, another scout ship. And they go up inside it and it cloaks them. And we've physically stood right underneath and seen them up inside there. So they showed us this. We had so much contact with them. They were coming and going and showing us different things all the time, showing us what we could use and what we couldn't use. They followed us all around the place. And yeah, I have to say that I don't see them in a negative light. All the negative experiences that I had, I now can see that there's been a positive outcome of those negative experiences. It's like, okay, I didn't really need to go through those, but there could have been another way I could have learned. And this is just how they do it. They use the best tools that they've got to keep us in stuck states, keep us protected, and all these other areas. And you think, how can putting a child, through that be actually a form of protection? Well, there are other beings out there that want to actually harness you and, harvest not just your organs, but also your lush and your information that you have, and splinter you down. So I'll get back to this dream, the state, I should say. I don't like to call them dreams because it's not really a dream when I know they're going to come true, because they just give me these timestamps, these little markers, like you were saying about the big wave and stuff. So first of all, the cloud type ship that came over top had 2 women in it. Now, it's the first time I've seen humanoid women white like that. I've seen women, but they've always been in uniforms and, and all this other stuff, military sort of type uniforms. And they looked at me and it was like, I knew them. They knew me. And it was like reassurance. Everything's going to be all right. You're not alone. And then it was like, oh shit, gotta get out of that. I don't want to, I did try to chase them and follow them to see where they were going on the land, landscape and stuff. And that snapped over to another one. This one was, while I'm trying to find them, I end up in, like what you're saying, a township, a mall, where there's all these people and they're running around and they can see these UFOs going across the sky and stuff. And I'm like, why is everybody panicking? And then this human male had to be a Nephilim, had to be. He was at least 8.5 foot tall, taller than this house. And I'm looking up at him and he's wearing fatigues, army fatigues. And I'm like, oh, okay. And he looked at me without me even saying anything to him. He said, get home now. Don't stop for anything. Get home now. So I went, oh, well, I've had to listen to these kind of beings before, and I have, because sometimes I've been in these states, and I didn't listen, and I did get taken to a location and end up in chains and shackles and being sold to a reptilian, and oh my God, total crazy stuff. But I got back, and when I got back, I'm inside the house, and I kept finding myself going to the window and looking out to see what's out there. Now, what I could see was, how you see a translucent sort of haze every now and I do anyway in space, and I'm like, oh, something's there, something's there, and I'm looking up, and it's just everywhere. I'm just seeing these pictures, and they're everywhere, and I'm thinking, shit, there's a lot of ships out there. When people realize this is actually here now, and we can all see them if we know what we're looking at. As soon as they come out of camouflage, people are going to be absolutely gobsmacked, because the military and the governments are fully aware of what's in our airspace.
And some of them are huge.
Oh shit, yeah. Oh shit, yeah. At the third one was, now this will buzz you. Do you Guardians of the Galaxy? There's a blue chick in it.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. There were all these guys. I looked out and I saw these ships starting to land. Now in the street. Now this is something everybody should watch out for, just in case. You know, it sounds crazy, but there were these. They put these vehicles that look like like you put them on the back of a trailer and you tow them somewhere and they're full of water or oil or whatever like this. They were all blue, okay, and they were parked on the sides of the street and in
Started Project Blue.
Yeah, in driveways where they couldn't get out, right? So their driveway was blocked. Then I'm running outside and I see one of these blue guys come down in a blue uniform and he's there and he looks straight at me and he's got a gun, but it's not our sort of gun, you know, it isn't a rifle or a handgun or anything like that. It's something different about this type of gun. And I'm looking at him and it's like he lifts his visor, he's completely blue. He's the same, it's like the same, he looked the same as that chick of Guardians of Galaxy. And he's like sending me this message and he's like, so I'm like looking around, I see these other guys just the same as him, and he's going, get down. So I got down, and it was like he was protecting me from the others in his band, his troop, from seeing me. So I did what he said. I got down and I got back in the house, and it felt like, and when I looked over onto the field, right, there was a big mothership that had come down. And these guys were everywhere, and they were blue, completely blue. And so I'm looking at it and I'm going, okay, Project Bluebeam, Project Blue, it's here, it's happening now. And we're looking around the whole world. We've got the weather warfares. And New Zealand's really being targeted hard right now. You just have to have a look at some of the radar maps and you can actually see the HARP frequencies and Doppler radars going off there. Then you've got the solar flares coming from the sun hitting us at the moment, and they're all saying we're going to have another Carrington event. We've got parts of New Zealand are underwater and without electricity. It's absolutely crazy. Now, that's just what they're targeting us here with, but there's something else going on with making sure that, we've got what we call the roadside drug tests here now in New Zealand, where they swab your tongue, and they'll do it twice. And if you refuse, you get a fine, and and if it's a positive, you can't drive for 12 hours. There's something like between 22 and 25, probably more, different medications that are also on the radar, saying that if you get caught with any of that on this test, you're basically a criminal. So you can't drive your vehicles. You're going to be locked up at home. It's happening everywhere. So there's another underlying thing going on. They're also taking out the 3G tower over here. There, it's going up to 6. We've got regions that are 4s and 5s at the moment, and it's going up to 6. So they're hitting us. They're hitting us with different types of frequency warfare, left, right, and centre. So I'm also very aware that a lot of people who got the jungle juice back in the day are now, we're losing them. We're losing a lot of them. And this year alone, we're not even, we're halfway through January, and I can count 10 people that we've lost from our programs. Different soldiers, if you want to call them, in different areas. So it is happening. We do need to be aware of the frequencies that are going and the dreams that come in, because you may get images and information come in, and we've got to break it down and look at what the messages are. I had one lady a couple of days ago come to me and say, my dead mother came to me and she gave me an envelope, but I couldn't open it. I don't know what was in it. So
oh my gosh, James gave me an envelope in his dream. He had just passed away a week, and then he gave me an envelope, and I don't know what it is, and it's a long white one, and in the back, it has like the V to open. It had writing there too.
Yep. Oh, goosebumps.
I know, me too. And go ahead, because Okay, well, I'll go real quick. So about the blue beans, those are real. Okay, and I am Gamora's sister, the cyborg. That's me.
Okay. Okay. Yep. Yep.
And when you were saying that, I'm like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
Now, do you want to talk about something really funny?
Go for it. Go for it.
Okay, so 4 days ago, I was in a Barbie house, and the Barbie house was real, and it was white, and
Okay.
then there was ants coming out of the wall. They don't want me to talk about this. I don't know why. Let me get my inhaler. There were black ants coming out of the wall, and I touched them, and they were squishy. And one of them was behind me wearing a male 100% cotton short sleeve t-shirt. And I was like eating my ice cream because I wanted to get away from the party. They were huge, huge ants. And then this guy comes with a tractor and with the magnet gets to them, and then they become these gingerbread cookies. They're round. I'm like, what the fuck? That was funny. And one of the guys, I don't know if he's watching, Jeremy Wood. Hello, Jeremy. He said, could that be part of the Kachina? You know,
Yeah.
coming back. So there's just, man, a lot of things going on. I wanted to tell you real quick before I forget the lost time. Before they hit me with this cancer, the second cancer, I still had my vehicle. They made sure that I didn't have my vehicle. They targeted my vehicle. Can you believe they targeted my vehicle? I stopped dating. I went celibate because the time that I was dating someone, my tires were slashed, and my tires, they would always lose air. And I'm like, there's nothing wrong with my tires, you know. They one time I took my vehicle to a garage there down south Tucson, and I needed them to check what was wrong with it, and they didn't call me. An hour passed, and I told my nephew, because my nephew took me. I said, they haven't called me back. It's been an hour. They're like, oh, I'm sorry, your car got stuck on the lift, and the mangueras hose got stuck. I'm like, what? And something told me, download an app to see what the heck they put in there. So I downloaded this app to see if there was like audio or camera. Well, there was bugs in my vehicle under the timon, the wheel, and under my glove compartment. I'm not kidding. Of course, my kids look at me like I'm crazy, like, Mom, dreams are just dreams, and you're just a little nutty. You know, now they're saying that I'm forgetting things, and it's not that. It's lost time. I have to write things down. It's lost time. One time I ended up, I wanted to go to Target, okay? And Target, you got to be careful because Target is also,
Yeah.
they have they have the highest cameras there. I was noticing when the whole, what I call right before they hit the
Jungle juice.
Yeah, what I call the baby Jabberwocky. Slay, right? I started seeing all these pictures being put up on Fry's, Walmart, Target, whatever. Of, hey, what are you doing? Like the tabloids were like, oh, okay, you need some dish soap, but there was people. It was actual people. Everything started shifting. I saw the new cameras being put at Walmart. I saw how I stopped going to Walmart because I saw the way they shifted everything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fucking FEMA camps everywhere, right? And I've had dreams where I'm stuck at a FEMA camp, and I leave, and it has barbed wires. I jump the fence. I don't know how I get out of there through there, or I don't know how the hell I get out of there. And then my son decides to go back in and jumps the fence. He has to go get somebody. I'm like, fuck. So I'm stuck in this, in this realm of going back to get my son. Right now, my son is fully active.
Yeah.
I'm on a commander sabbatical.
Yeah.
For the past 3 weeks, but I'm going to go back again. I know, because my dreams are getting, your dreams tell you when you're active or your bruises. I'm on a sabbatical. I've been maybe a week and a half, but because of those bruises, I forgot 2 weeks ago. But my dream, they'll tell you. So last time I was trying to go to Target, and I got lost. I don't know why. I know Tucson like the back of my hand. And I end up at 511 asking, hey, how much is this pistol here? How much is this 357 Magnum? How much is this 9 Glock? How much is this 40? Why? I don't know.
Yeah.
And, I was in my cop mode and I'm like, all right, well, how much is this? And I was looking at different weapons and I'm like, what the hell? This was a good 5 years ago. It happened. And then I looked at my watch and it's like, what just happened? I made a short video on it, but then that channel got hacked. It's just weird. So then, let's see, the owls. Okay, I'll tell you about the owls real quick. On this wolf moon that we just had, it was really horrible for me. Every as you know, I have the wolf blood too. So every full moon, I'm more alert, and I'm sure you get like that too. Like, wait, what's going on? I totally felt, and I saw the ships above Costco. There's a bunch of ships above Costco. There were just so many, and one there was a main one. And then when I went to, because I had to go to the dentist to Nogales, Arizona, because I don't have insurance and I have to go all the time to, the darn sliding key scale or whatever. Well, when I was coming up to the Border Patrol, there was a bunch of ships that started popping off as soon as I arrived. And then I went past that. That was the same day, okay? And then I was at a store, because I had to go to a store. There was a crow or something outside, and everybody was just like, why is this so loud? And I kept looking at myself and looking at the people, and nobody was paying attention, like maybe one or two. And me, I'm like, I gotta get out of here. Get out of here. And then there was this young girl who was talking supposedly to her sister at the store, but she was looking straight at me, and she could read my mind. And I'm like, motherfucker, why are you reading my mind? She was warning me. She said, you can find this in a better price. You can find a prettier one. She kept telling me. I'm like, the hell? I got the hell out of there. So I saw that we went up to orange this 1st of January. Whatever the full moon was, we are in orange right now. That's all I got to say for that. And then of course I've had other nightmares where Freddy Krueger's chasing me with his knife, and I think that's when I was being trained for katana, for the katana. And then I was being sex trafficked also by Hillary Clinton, and there's this guy, this actor Esposito is his last name, an older gentleman. I was in his vehicle, and he was taking me somewhere, dropping me off. Actually, no, I was in a house with a lot of young women. I was maybe 14 and wearing like white dresses, and he picked me up, and he was in a Cadillac. I don't know where we went, but it's just weird how they pair you up with these actors. I also was, believe it or not, with Michael, what's his name? I'm very close to Michael Jackson. There's something there. He was one of my, he's a very good person for me. I know how to sing. I play the violin since I was in 4th grade. Michael Jordan. So I'm in a dream. I'm showing him how to do the layups because that's my favorite thing to do. And guess what? After that, there was a dream of 11 black, tall males in basketball uniform, and I'm in the middle, and I'm the ref. And then they call me to a meeting. What the heck is that all about? Is that Andromeda? I don't even know. So just weird things like that. But let me go back to the owls, and then I'll let you talk.
Oh, no,
so 2 nights ago, Lola and I have a German Shepherd, and it was 2 a.m. So yeah, and we went outside, and we went outside of the complex because I thought somebody was crying. I'm like, what the? So I go outside of the complex, and it's 2 owls, one on this side and one by the ranch and by the horses. They were on the trees, and I couldn't see them, but I could remote view them, and they were communicating. And they're going, ooh, 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 you know how they communicate. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? So I looked it up, and it's either mating or you're coming up. I felt it as a warning, but protected. Okay. And then at the same time, it's getting more of your psychic abilities, or obviously, I've just been more into. I stay home most of the time.
Yeah.
if I'm out, I'm reading people's minds, or even when I go to sleep, I'm like I said, I'm thinking about someone. Like last night, I couldn't stop thinking about you. I couldn't wait. I was so excited, and I could just communicate that way.
Yeah.
Now there's a lot of reasons why they don't want to give me my vet benefits. They've denied me twice. This was in January. That was the second time they denied me. And everybody says, oh, well, you need to go to the VA. Do you know how many times I've gone to the VA When I went to the VA in April of last year, guess what? This guy said, let's go on this app, okay, on this website, so you can get your shot records. Because if you don't get your shot records from the Army, and this is the Army that I'm talking to, and they won't give you your benefits. I'm like, what? You guys are the Army. You have my fucking shot record. So then they looked them up, and guess what? They only have 1976, one shot. They don't have my 1991 when I swore in. I have my certificate. I swore in 1991. They gave me the 5-in-1 shot. So one of them was the anthrax, and I know the other one must have been Agent Orange, and I don't know what else. Because with the anthrax, they light up your back. You're green. When they see you in the radar, you light up. Your back light. You know your back lights up too. Okay? Because if you run these programs, they shoot you up with that stuff.
I've got videos where I've been doing a group and somebody's taken a photo or a video when I've turned green. I've had beings come in and, you know, you see a big blue orb behind me and there's two stick figures standing there and then I'm completely green. You know, I'm almost the green the fluorescent green you've got on Sheila. So, yeah, absolutely. I was completely...
No wonder they didn't want us to talk. Because you guys, you that don't know, and I'm not going to go into the details, but they try to separate me and Stonehop.
Yeah.
And I don't talk to those people anymore for a reason.
Yeah.
So it's horrible.
If they don't want you learning something about yourself, they'll throw in whatever psychology that they can to pull us apart or push you apart. It's like, you've got to be able to see it for what it actually is. Sometimes these people come in and they're like, oh, they're all lovey-dovey, and it's like, oh, you got to be careful because everything's a fucking program. The love, the hate, the jealousy, it's all programs to, you know, what lush can they take from you? It's all the same at the end of the day. It doesn't matter how you produce it, you're going to produce it. You know, I've seen them take us, people pop, I call it people popping. In one of these occasions, I was, and I very strongly feel this is coming up. My partner at the time, I'm somehow on the rocks. I see I'm in the edge of the water on the bank where there's rocks. A big ship has come down. It's opened out its arms, and these yellow buses. They're not look like New Zealand buses.
Shut up.
I'm not shitting you. They pulled up, and these men, just men, got off, and you could tell they'd all been taken in their sleep because of what they were wearing.
Oh my gosh! What were they wearing? Because I'll tell you what they're wearing in my dream.
Some of them were naked. Some of them were just in shorty shorts, pajamas. It was all nightwear. They were oblivious to anything else. It was like they were in a night trance, all getting off the bus, going on to this bloody UFO. And these beings, I got to see two of them. They're really, really tall, and they were like greys, but they're not the greys that I'm used to seeing. And like, so my partner at the time was in one of these lines, and I couldn't figure out how he could be there. And I as soon as these two beings disappeared, I ran across the yard. There's no guards. They didn't need guards. They had power over these guys. And I ran over there and I dragged him back. It was easy to get him back. And when we went to go down over the rocks, he fell in the water and woke up, and I kept him down. And we watched all these men get on the ship. The next part of it was we're in a bush, you know, and like going through a forestry, and all of a sudden that same ship is up above us, and people are just getting popped straight out of the top of their head. Now I've seen this another time as well. And they went straight up out of their head, and it was so fast. When because I got taken as well, and I'm just an energy ball, and I got to see the tanks where the soul energies were getting put. And I'm on a conveyor belt, and there's a person in front, a energy form being in front of me, and my partner behind me, and I can see a way out because I've been trained. I'm always conscious wherever I'm freaking going that there's always a war going on or something's going on. And so I grabbed both of them, and I just threw us out the fucking side of the ship. And when we came back down, I went into my body, my partner at the time went into his body, and the person that, you know, the other person that I grabbed had just happened to be a disabled person. and he had been in a wheelchair, and when he went into a physical body, he couldn't stand up properly. He was stumbling and falling and reaching out, and then he was able to crawl off, and then the ship left. So, this was the same thing. The yellow buses picking up, and even the driver themselves were under automatic control, in their pajamas.
Oh my God. Oh my God. So you're the only person that has talked about this other than myself. Can I please?
Absolutely. Had it.
I have been, last month I was on a conveyor belt.
Okay. Yeah.
I was young though. I was like 14, 15. And then they would saran wrap us and then put us through this tall ass conveyor belt and we'd slide down. Okay, that was one of the dreams that I think I only spoke about one time, and this just happened. But the other ones, the ones with the unit, the reason why I tell you about what color were they wearing? Because now my dream is the second part to yours, I believe. Okay. This was in like 2019, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, ready? Oh my God. I'm so grateful that I'm on. I'm so grateful because I need answers, and I know you do too, and the public does too. So I'm in my uniform, black and white uniform. There's a man with gray hair, tall, beside me. I'm in my office. There's a computer in front of me, but I have one of those glass pads, and I push the button on there, and there is a red color that goes from South America to North America, and then there's an orange color that goes from China to Russia. Okay. And then all of a sudden, these two men in black come running from the front door, which would be like a living room area. And then there's my desk and my whole office. And then behind me is an atrium. I have an atrium with my kids inside it. It's glass. They're protected. And they're with the tutor, right? They're with someone taking care of them. And I look back and I'm like, hey, I got to go. Telepathically, they said, no, we got your kids. Don't worry. So I start running. We get on my it's like a very special high-tech vehicle that I own. Then I end up, this is the weird part, under a border town. I don't know if it's Mexico, but it felt like Mexico. Under these protected areas, I'm sitting on a concrete table, and my protector's here. And this woman comes out of the buses. There's buses yellow buses, yellow school buses, guys. And the girl that comes out, her name is Stephanie, and she doesn't even know about the dream because I lost contact with her long ago. When I was going through the stupid project Kodak, they had me under all these fucking pills and shit. So she was part of there, and I met her there and her father, and we would have family dinners or whatever with my kids. So anyway, I lost contact with her. Stephanie, I believe is her name. She comes out from the bus in an orange jumpsuit. Orange. Code orange. Orange. We're in orange right now. Okay? But this dream was in 2019. So she said, Veronica, don't forget us. And I'm writing on something, on like one of those, I'm writing something. And I said, I won't forget you, I promise. Just go back and I'll go get you. Now that was that. And I'm amazed at how many dreams I have had of working with these assholes that don't like me underground, and they're wearing hard hats. I'm not. I'm instructing them to do something. I'm on the high tier. We're having lunch, with other men. It's all men, maybe a few women, but mostly men. And then I look down, and they're excavating. They're doing something with these bulldozers. And then the other dream that I had, which is connected to this, just about a year ago, I'm in a white bus. I get up, I'm in a gas station. They pick me up. And then I go to the back of the bus, and there's people eating certain things, and they won't give me food. They say, you don't belong here. You need to get down. You need to get off. So they leave me in the middle of nowhere in the desert. I don't know if it's Mars or what, but I have a dream that it is in Mars. So that's that. In Mars, I by the way, I have a double, so I can talk about that too. Remind me. I have more than a double, but I'll tell you about that
Oh
in a
yeah.
minute. Yes, we have doubles and more. And it's just so weird. I have so much, I can't believe how much time has gone by and we just have not connected. I'm glad we're here. So, Mars, I wake up in my nightgown in another house in Mars. There's like a complex, okay, in front of that house. It's like a safe house.
Yeah.
Then I leave there and I write about it in the third book, Sheila Wolverine Mars Montauk. Okay, so I come out of that and I have to go into the barracks. I have my own apartment there. The same apartment that I had on the other apartment is the same exact one that I had in Mars, but it's just. And before I walk into the main, I cross the gate. There's gates everywhere. Obviously, there's fences. There's everything's protected. And when I'm walking in, right in front of the main door, they have these guys, and I've talked about this dream many times. This was during the Ukraine war because I was also in Ukraine in the war. There's a general there that we're in the underground bases. He's wearing a tan uniform, has a black mustache, black hair, and he's yelling at me in front of everybody. Don't you go out there and blah blah blah. He doesn't want me to go help people fight this war. And I said, I'm going to do it. I'm trying to save the young kids, the teenagers, all the people that are involved there. I saw like these crafts that were coming out from the sky, just, all over the place. And I'm like, yes, sir. I understand, but I'm still going to go out there. He was really mad on that dream. And I go out, and then that's when it goes to that dream. Let me go back to this one. But that dream goes into, I don't know if you guys have ever seen Tomorrow War or whatever. And I had not seen it until years after this dream that I had. I'm in the stadiums, and I have my backpack on, and I'm getting ready to gear up, and they're giving us instructions. We're writing things down on the chalkboard. There's these Miles Johnson sitting right beside me. It was just kind of a weird dream. But going back to this one, where was I about with this one?
You were in the stadium and they were coming in.
Okay, so then this one that I first started talking about, I can't believe they do this. Let me have my channel back. I just lost time. It's because I went to that war in my head, and I'm like, I'm here now. Anyway, I can't believe it. I wanted to talk about this.
Sidetrack them. I mean, when they do this, just sidetrack them. So start talking about something. I call it reverse psychology.
Okay, then I'm going to talk about Mike the Navy guy. If you guys are familiar with Mike the Navy guy, he sent out a blue dogman out to get me, and I was able to open its face, the whole mouth, and just like threw him across the warehouse there under the garage. He had me, he thought that he could sequester me. I'm like, no. And then another dream with Mike the Navy guy. It was James Rink, 3 other guys and 2 other ladies with me. We were going to the moon. Okay, we landed in the moon, but it's so weird because then we were inside a van, a white van. We got out. They took us to the showers, and we had to wear a diadema, one of those things that you put your hair, like here. I don't know what they call those, but it was different colors. You get one, and then they give you like a shower that's just a smoke shower, no water. And then I got on to where they had the ships. I was on the top floor. If you ever see the movie Interstellar, that's exactly what it looked like. There's 2 floors, really tall. So I was on the tall one. And then I look at all the ships that they had, all the crafts. They were really cool crafts. Some of them were like little pods. Some of them were bigger crafts. And Mike, the Navy guy's there. He gives me something. And he hands me this black thing. I open it. Guess what? It's a silver weapon, silver gun. But it doesn't have a trigger. It doesn't have bullets. It's a silver gun. And then I see myself. This is the third person that I've seen, because I've seen a lot of me's, but this is the third me that I saw. And she was in a Spaniard yellow. Yellow is code word, right?
Yeah.
In a top Spaniard suit with my veil and the flowing dresses. It's like beautiful everywhere. And I look at her go by, and she says, "Don't look at me. I'm Andromeda. I'm you." And I'm like, "What the fuck?" I wake up, and oh my god, fuckers, you better give me back my channel what I was talking about. So I'll talk about the other double. The other double. Okay, so the two more doubles to go, but one double. I go to sleep here. I always wake up in beds. Most of the time, I wake up in bed. I go to sleep here, and I wake up in a bed, or I'm in a hallway, or I'm running, or I'm doing something. Oh yeah, I gotta tell you about the ship with the nurse too. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So this double, I go to sleep, and I'm laying down this way, and then in the dream, I'm laying down the other way, and I wake up in my dream. My cat's still with me, and the other cat, I don't know what the other cat is, and then the door opens to my bedroom, and it's me. And all in black and wearing my headphones. And I'm walking in. I had just finished working out, I guess. And I sat down, but I was giving my back to me. And I told me that was laying down, Vero, don't go to sleep, because I was going like this to go to sleep in the dream. And I told myself, don't go to sleep. And I wake up. the, the third other me is we're in a circle. It looks like Disneyland. It's my daughter, my son, and my ex and me, and they were little. They were maybe 8 and 5. And then behind me, there's another me, but no ex. He's not there. Kids all grown up. I'm like, it feels like Disney, like Disneyland, because I did take them to Disney when they were little one time, and my daughter got so sick, and now I know that they were. Back then, I didn't know about all these programs. Well, my daughter and my son are in these programs. I'm not going to tell you who they are, but they're awesome. And we're just here, like being like the defenders of the universe, I guess you can say. What else was I going to say? Let's see. I guess keep talking and maybe I'll remember. Oh yeah, okay. I remembered another me.
Yeah.
I'm in the other apartment and I fall asleep. Oh yeah, I was talking about Mars. They didn't want me to talk about Mars. I got you, fuckers. All right. I got this shit because I went into Ukraine. But anyway, the reason why I went to Ukraine was because these people, these men, had all shaved hair. You can tell they were in the military. They were wearing blue and yellow uniforms. They were all in shackles, in handcuffs and shackles and chained. And the regular military people, they said, V, you can come in. But they made those guys get on their knees and they said, don't look at her. And then I went in to the complex, which was my apartment.
Yeah.
There's this guy, really tall guy, dark and handsome, no shirt. He goes, V, you know you're not supposed to leave without me. You are not supposed to. I have to go with you everywhere. And I'm like, what the fuck? Am I a slave or am I a commander here? Because it just seems like I was maybe higher up, you know?
Yeah.
And he's mad, and we're sharing, like, my apartment's here, but then his is right next to me. It's so weird, and the kitchen's there. And then I forget something outside. So I leave. I go through the walls because I don't want to go through the front again because I'll get in trouble because I guess we have a time where we have to be home or whatever. And it's weird. I'm yellow again. It says Tilly's, a bag. I had forgotten a bag that had Tilly's yellow bag and a comforter. And I'm like, okay. So then I go underneath the barracks and I go back into my apartment. There's a man that shows up. His name is Eric, but I'm not going to say his last name because I met him in 2021. And it's not tall Eric, and it's not the other Eric. It's the other Eric that most of you guys know about. Motorcycle Eric. He's a German. I'm not going to say his last name. So we kind of hung out for a while on his bike. It was fun. We went cross country. Anyway, I met him then, but he's in this dream. And he's supposedly my defender, but then he turns into a weird Asian guy with long black hair. And there's this other guy. There's a knock on the door. And I'm like, who the hell is that? And I go to the living room and I crouch down because I feel something's coming. And there's this guy dressed up. He kind of looked like James Ring, but he wasn't. He had football pads and was like blondish red hair. And he had this bat. He's like, I'm here to get her. Where is she? So I'm crawling from the living room to the hallway, and Honey, my cat, is in my dream because I have a cat that she's a healer. She gets on my back when I'm asleep, and she just
Yeah.
does her thing. Okay. I have another cat. My cats and my dogs, they're always in my dreams. So anyway, the guy comes and fights with the guy that's turned into an Asian, and then that the same Asian guy, while he's fighting the guy with the bat, turns into, I don't know if you guys have ever seen Alien versus Predator, but
Yeah.
he turns into Predator with the long
Yeah.
black dread, and the mandibles come out like different teeth, and
Yeah.
he's ugly, but he's my defender. But so the other guy ends up killing him somehow, and I'm crawling, and I end up in this hallway. There's this closet, and I go in the closet, but it's actually, when you go on a ship and there's a huge wheel that you have to like lock the door. It's like that. Okay, but at the same time, it's my washer and dryer in there. It's so weird. And so the guy keeps going, I'm gonna get you, I'm gonna get you, and then he clobbers in to open the door, and I say, home, 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 3 times. Boom, I wake up here. So that's secret.
Yeah.
If you guys want to know, home, home, home is one of your
I think
words.
they put that in The Wizard of Oz.
Movie.
Okay,
Mhm.
and I look at it as, the yellow brick road, the red shoes, click click, and you'll be home, and the emerald tablets, Emerald City. Now you've got all the wickeds being turned into misunderstood, and they're actually the goodies, and all the goodies are actually the baddies, and this is why they've turned bad. And it's like everywhere you go, you're going to find something that is like, I say to people, you talk about the codes and things. I was doing code breaking and stuff. I don't know, it must have been at least 10, 15 years ago. And it started off with a set of building blocks, and they were all different shapes. And I had to, and this is one of the out of body experiences. And I had to put these blocks together so that I could open a portal or a Stargate, so I could get through it to get, to stop something from happening. And that showed me that every time I was being chased or hunted or captured, I had to fight. I was fighting in all of these dream states. Even when I wasn't fighting per se, I knew that something was coming for me. And that's how I woke up to going, okay, there's more to what I'm doing here. And then I went into remote viewing. I heard you talking earlier today in regards to some of your remote viewing. And I have these abilities, and I wanted to, one of the reasons I got on the internet was to reach out to some of these people who claim to have these abilities. And so I'm like, okay, test me. I want you to test me, because I want to know for myself, do I have these abilities? Because you can't, I mean, now I know I don't actually need these guys for confirmation, because I've got these other beings that are doing it for me, and I can do it anyway. So, and then I got to see, I can go back in 20 years, I could go back. Somebody asked me, what did they have in their pocket 20 years ago? And I'm like, how the friggin' hell am I going to figure that one out? And so I just went straight into the pose, and I'm like, okay, show me what he's got in his pocket. And I drew it, because I do automatic drawing as well. I do it with charcoal. I do it with charcoal. I can't do it with pen. If I have to use 2 pens at the same time.
Yeah, I believe you.
Charcoal. And I drew a seed, and it became an acorn, and then the acorn turned into an apple slicer with all the squares. It was sharp blades with a center circle and an exterior circle. I'm like, what the hell is that I'm looking at? And when I turned it around, it turned out to be an apple slicer. And I said, well, I keep getting this, and I don't know where I'm getting it from. And he said, how did you know that I had a seed in my pocket? And it was an acorn seed. And he was doing this interview with this other guy 20 years ago or so, and he was asked, what do I have in my pocket? So by the guest he was having on, because I'm not going to name names. But anyway, later on down the track, I was just recently, I saw a video, and it was posted, and I went, oh my God, I did that in my remote, and that was like 2 or 3 years ago. And I'm like, I've got signatures, and I've got the buildings. I'm in New Zealand. I didn't know shit about America. at this stage. Just, I knew I came from there in different bodies, different forms. But this was different. This was the archway. What was it? St. Louis Arch. And there was a cross inside the arch. And when you watch this green comet, asteroid, whatever, coming in, it goes right through the center of that cross that I'd made on the page. And I'm like, how is that possible that and on it, it's got warning, and it's got a date and everything. And I wrote this down three to 4 years ago. And I'm like, this stuff is really real. I mean, when we have these dreams, they're not just dreams. There's information that's coming in and telling us, pay attention. In the early days, it was deja vu hits, boom, 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 boom. And I found myself having to do different, altering substances to stop the dream state. And it was because it was information coming in, overload. I stopped again. I completely stopped again. And now it's all coming back.
Okay, that thing that you were drawing, oh man, you can't see it. But I posted it on my post on YouTube. They kind of reminded me of this. I don't know why. It's a circle, okay? And then we have all these symbols on it because when I was a kid and that movie Stargate came out, the original one, I was able to just everything he was talking about. I'm like, what is going on, right? And this is what I saw in my dream. This was a dream. A person, a male, was showing me this. And I was in a dream looking up at the school, and it was showing me how Earth has these rings that we are under latch and key, guys. And there's these symbols I drew. And then I drew the moon. On the bottom, here's Earth, it has the symbols. On the bottom, here's the moon, and it has rainbows on each side because that's how some of us came in from Atlantis, through the rainbows. Okay, watch the movie Elysium. We all came through that little, not all, but some of us. Okay, and so there's the moon. It has two rainbows like that. He was showing me this in my dream, and there's a water. We were in a hotel. It was it was a resort, and it was not here it was, how do you say? It was not in Tucson in my dream. It was somewhere else. And it says, I wrote down, solar system is under lock and key. And then these other beings, the SS Queens and the SS Kings from George Morningstar that I also gave a class on, if anybody's interested. It's called, I wrote down monitoring Earth. So we have a system here monitoring us. It's not just one, guys. It's many. But there's one, Earth under latch and key, the moon connected to the water, and the rainbows. I just got a glimpse of what I had to tell you, and it's really important. Let me have my channel back, fuckers. But anyway, and then the sun is here. They have two suns. So the sun, two suns here. The moon with the rainbows, the water, Earth, and then these other things seeing us beings. On the rainbow, on the two rainbows, I drew these ships that are coming from underneath the water, going through these two rainbows to the moon, and then to wherever they want to go, whether it's Earth or whatever. But that's what I drew. And quick, rainbow mirrors. There's mirrors in the rainbow.
Yeah.
So I'm showing a lot of things in the astral as well. Go ahead.
Yeah. I see. You're aware I did a major fast, and through that major fast, and in my past, I relate to Yggdrasil. I relate to Bifrost, the fridge. So the Rainbow Bridge, and in that, it's like when I did the chakra work, I could see that they're representative of our different dimensions that we embody. And when we see the rainbow gives us the same dimensions. So when a rainbow shows up and I look at it, the first color, the one that's most vibrant to me, is the one that I'm working in at that particular time. And I can line it up with the aches and pains in my body. I can line it up with the dream states, the different dimensions I'm working in. So there are these, we have Stargate knowledge within us. We can code break everything. When I moved to the place before this one, this is when I was doing most of the code breaking. I'm saying, we've got to leave ourselves codes. We have to do this code stuff where nobody else is aware, so that we know exactly where and who is coming in with the information when they bring it in. Because there are a lot of other beings out there, people at the moment, like we were talking just recently about some of the so-called black magic, if you want to call it that, the powers that these people have and they obtain, and how they come in and they sabotage. And it's like, they infiltrate every single person in your group or in your surroundings, and they turn them against you, or, and it's like, you've got to be aware of what's going on the bigger picture, because all of us hold information, really valuable information, and there's a price on it. There's a price tag attached to it. Somebody wants it from you at whatever cost they can get it from you. And you can also use it as a bargaining chip to up your own skills. So it's like, I don't know where I went with that as well. That just went somewhere else. But you were going to talk about the nurse on the ship and the nurse.
Oh yeah. So this was in like 2018. I had a dream where I was that night I went to bed and I was feeling my throat was just, oh yeah, let me tell you about Metatron too. Okay, Metatron. So the week I was just feeling really bad. This is before I had all my surgeries, and I was feeling really bad. I mean, before I had my back surgeries, not all of them, but my back. And I had heard someone that they can take you to a ship and get you on a med bed. And the way I saw it was my own. I have my own sarcophagus. That's how I do it. I don't need anybody's help now. I do it myself.
Yeah.
Because back then I was very naive, and so I asked for my star family to help me, or whoever's out there that can help me and take me to their med bed. And when I woke up, I didn't have the back pain was gone, but I woke up on my bed, and right as I woke up, I saw these big blue eyes, and it was Metatron with blonde hair, and he had 3 blonde beings behind him in blue and white suits with the long ass boots. And I'm like, this motherfuckers, what are they doing here? Are they taking my loosh, or okay, they're helping me, but I didn't like the energy. I just said, you know what, I'm going to do it on my own. Thank you, but no thank you, because it was just staring at me like, what the hell? And I've had other times where I wake up and there's this white porcelain angel over me, just staring down at me like he's very pissed off. And then this is when I was living with those people. And I wake up and I go, hey, D, I say, I knock on her door. Dude, were you just like remote viewing me or something? She's like, no, I wasn't. And I'm like, it's like, what? And then I had the Maitreya come out. I think I've told you where first when I had my awakening, and then I was taken. I think I left myself, actually. I had never, I wanted to leave my body, but then take my body, because I had heard of all these people that they can take their body. So I'm like, fuck it, I'm just going to do it. One of these days I'm going to do it. And every night I said, okay, is this the night? Is this the night? So finally I wake up and it's like 2-3 p.m. and I look and I'm like, where am I? And I told my friend again, I go, hey, D, are we on Earth still? She goes, what the fuck's wrong with you? I'm like, I don't know. I think I just left Earth. But that same week, and I forgot what I was saying earlier, but oh yeah, the nurse. I got to tell you about the nurse. But real quick, so there's this. I wanted to know if I was already part of the Masters, because I've had a feeling that I was part of the Masters already, and I met a lot of Masters during this time. And one of them was coming out from a cave, and it was a triangle. And then he came out. He had a white turban, bright white, long, dress, and he went like this. He showed me his hands like this, and they had holes.
Yeah.
Later on, I hear that that's the Maitreya. Now, some people, I know Marcel sent me some information on that, but other people say that he's a negative being, but to me, he was not negative. Okay, so now the nurse. This was when I was not feeling very well in my throat. It was like after or before the one for the back, and I was like, "What's going on with my throat? Like I need help, you know." And then I wake up in a ship, and I'm in a gurney, and there's this nurse that comes in. The ship has these doors that open up, right? They make that noise. It's like silver. There's there's like the mothership, but then the mothership connects to the medical, because when you see it up here, you'll see, we call it the mothership, but you know, the main ship, and then on the bottom you'll see the medical right
Yeah.
there. Okay, that's how I see it. They could, some of them could be like parallel, but most of the time the mothership and the medical are right there, because you never know what's going to happen, especially when you're transporting people, right?
Yeah.
So I wake up on the opposite ship, and the lady has old fashioned, you know, the nice white, how do you say that, the tights, the white shoes, the mini
Oh,
skirt, the
yeah.
white everything, the white hat. And the reason why I know this is because my aunt that just recently passed away, she was the top of the top nurses in Mexico where she lived. She always wore that uniform when I was growing up. But this dream was in like 2019. And she comes up to me, but I don't see her face. And she says, "Look, V, what we took from your throat." And it's like a square
Yeah.
spoon that goes out like this, and it's yellow crap in there. She says, "We took all this yellow goo out of your throat. You're okay now." And I'm like, "Oh, good, thank you. When can I go?" But then when I was getting dressed, I looked to my right. Sitting on the chair is a man in black. He's wearing a black and white suit. And then he chases me. So I fly. And then I land on top of a skyscraper, and he's still chasing me, like Justin Bourne, right, or whatever his name is. And then I say, "Fuck it, I'm gonna fly out of here. If I die, I die. If I don't, oh well. I know I'm not gonna die. I'm gonna wake up or something. I'm gonna go somewhere else." So my last thing was to fall from the precipice, just to fall. And as
Yeah.
I'm falling, I wake up here. So this
Yeah.
guy is like coming at me with weapons and guns, and I'm like, "No, I'm not gonna die by your hands. I'm always gonna go somewhere else. I'm not. You guys can't. I know who I am now. Fuck you all. Like no."
Oh, I'm always waiting for something new to show up. It's like, come on, you know, give me a new scenario, because it's like always being chased, always being hunted, always protecting
Yeah.
myself. I'm always trying, you know, the one that you were just describing, okay, I'm leaving my body, and I'm the girl that looks like, you know, the one out of the, I think it's either The Ring or The Grudge, you know, she's got the long droopy hair and she's looking over a well and that sort of thing. She was pulling me through a dimension, and because I was stuck, I'm like, you know, I knew I was stuck between dimensions, and I couldn't figure out how to get through. And then she reached down and she offered me a hand. Now, in a lot of these times when I've left my body or gone into these other dimensions, I've had beings offering me their hands. You know, there's some have looked like Jesus, some have looked like people I've known, and I've always pulled back at the last minute. No, I'm not going to take your hand. I don't trust you. I don't believe in you. I don't, you know, I'm not going to do this. But she reached through, and for some reason I felt safe with her. So I grabbed her hand and she pulled me through. And when she pulled me through, she said, telepathically, she said, "They know you're here. You've got seconds." And when I turned around to see who they were, there were two men in black. Okay, I couldn't see their faces, but they were men in black in suits, and they were coming at me up along the beach line. And I'm like, oh my God, I turned around to see where she was, and she was gone. She was gone, and I couldn't even see where I came through. And I took off. I took one step, and I just went, in that one step, I went, shoo, miles away, and I'm now out in the middle of the sea, and I'm about this high off the top of the water, and I'm like, oh my God, one little movement and I can, you know, major distance I can, you know, cover. But so I start running in what seems like slow motion. I can see them, they're not far behind me, and I'm looking down, and there's these flying fish coming up out of the water as I'm running across the top of them. They're chasing me too. And then there's this triangle glass building that I'm getting to, and it's got what reminds me of the rings that are the Commonwealth rings, like the Commonwealth game rings that they put out there.
Yeah.
It was like that on this triangle glass building. And then I came down, and as I'm coming down, I could see my reflection. I had to go back inside the experience to see what it was that I was, and I appeared like a bloody orb. Well, not a bloody orb, but a big golden orb.
Yes.
And it's like, I see these things. I see these things with my naked eye. So I'm like, oh, okay. So this takes me to another level of our spiritual growth, our spiritual awareness. Are the orbs trying to show me that when they come into our dimension, this is how I see them, but they're more in solid form in their dimension, vice versa. So when
Yeah,
I
I
go,
think you're right. You're right, because I have them here in the kitchen, and when I go outside, and even when I'm on my Ring camera, they won't record, but you can see them. You can see them when they're flying everywhere.
Oh, I've got videos where I'm in bed and there's this one ship, orb, I call it an orb ship. It comes in above my head, it goes around, and then it comes up to the camera, and then it moves away. But it's pulsating, whoom, 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 whoom. It's not just a clear orb
Right.
flying past. It's pulsating, and then there's this little black dot inside it. And it doesn't change. You can see where it's moving and it's pulsating. That solid mass stays in it, and it comes up over my head again, and it comes around the curtain, and then it disappears. So I'm like, wow, this stuff is very real. Now, I want to jump onto another thing. You said earlier when we first started talking about, I think it was a white orb or something that came in around you, and you made me, it triggered a memory. Myself and my partner were sitting outside one evening. It was a nice evening, no clouds in the sky, at the back of the house. And this white, almost like soccer ball shape with a tail, right, a white stream tail, came over top of the house, down between us, shot between the seats, and up the back over the hedge. And it was like, wow, that was really moving at some speed. There's no way I could have taken a photo of that. It was going so fast, and it was in solid form. My partner in the early days saw a big soccer ball shape floating above his head. By the time he came to get me, it was too late. It was gone. So these things are real, and I'm like, okay, our stargates and stuff, we're stepping into them all the time. There's so many occasions where I know that we've gone and come back, done different missions. Like at one stage we had all of this activity with the plasmaspheres and the police choppers coming and circling our place when these things were going on. And at this one particular evening we were there, and we felt there was this change in the atmosphere. And for some unknown reason, we both went back to back and we locked our arms up. And then there was this like purple, it was purple. It was a purple shield that went over the top of us, and there was like, lightning.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Inside with us. And it was like, were we generating that? Did something else come and protect us? Have we been on mission somewhere together?
Okay, so yeah, I think you guys were being protected, but you also started the protection, and then the shield went up, and then these things, when they went, they couldn't penetrate you. They don't want me to talk again. Fuck you, motherfuckers. They didn't want you to. What the military knows about this.
Okay? Oh yeah.
And that's why they don't want us to talk about it, because they excuse me, these orbs, now remember, some of them are military.
Oh, yes.
And some of them are a family, and some of them are us coming back. Now, on my Ring camera, I have seen several times, and I have made a video on this, and I'm getting ready to do another one. I don't know when, but there's these it looks like lightning that comes right, and it goes through you. My neighbor was walking outside the other day while I wasn't watching the Ring camera. I was watching it like a week later, looking at it. Because if I don't need to look at it, because I'm very well around what goes on. I know when my kids are going to come. I like within minutes or seconds, Like the other day, I texted my son. Later, he's in the door. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
feel them. This white light, they just come down. They come down and they go through you. So these are sentient beings that have been around eons, and they do feel comfortable being around us because we are like that. You're right. I think you hit that on the nail, where they see us that way and we see them that way. Now, when you were talking about that big one, white one, when I first had that light come out of me, before that week, there was this I caught on a picture, because something said something's in here. Excuse me. I took a picture with my cell phone, and it was like a whale, like a sperm whale, but it was white all over my room like that.
Yeah.
But I think you guys you started the protection and something else came over you guys. But can I just talk about the blue hair women?
You can talk about anything you want to. I do have some questions. Yep.
Yeah.
I do have some questions once you've done that one. Like, I want to know what you really think about this, I call it space turd atlas. And then there's AI. How do you think AI is, what have you seen technology wise in the future for us? Because I know what I've seen. And the war that's coming, or the war that we're already in, that people are not even realizing that what you're seeing in the streets right now is no longer soft martial law. It is martial law. That's that. So tell me about the blue lady.
That's real quick. Well, that's the boots on the ground that I've been talking about, and it's here, and they call it ICE, and we're in war, and people don't see it. And I've also seen it in my visions. In my visions, I remember the AI wars, and I remember in this particular scene, I'm a mermaid, and the pirates. There's some people that come in. We're in the Cyrus B, and it's the 13 crystal cities where this happened to me. There was a war going on, the AI war that I was also involved in. We were warring against these beings that were actually AI, that were actually machines. Okay, like iRobot and shit like that. Yeah. So I was in that, and then after that happened, I was undersea, and then that's when the I call them the pirates. But there were some good beings, and then there were some bad beings, and we killed off the bad beings, the ones that hurt the children. Me meaning I can transform into a mermaid. I was in mermaid state this time in the crystal cities, and we would help them, and I've had several dreams where I had to place a man and other men with things on their feet so they can drown because they had hurt people. Okay.
Yeah.
And this is part of the whole AI wars. So the whole transhumanism thing is bullshit. Like you're seeing that with the drag queens. No offense to those who dress up like that. That's fine. I love your makeup. I'm all in with the makeup. But I'm not all in with you trying to change our kids. Fuck off with that bullshit. They can make their own decision when they're grown up. Fuck that shit. So anyway, the whole transhumanism thing is to get people to buy into the thing where it is real. You can go from here to being in a computer and living as a computer being. You're just an AI thing, and you can, like, if you've seen those videos where they do this electromagnetic thing to people that are underground, they're dead and they're buried, and they still have light waves and light forms coming out of them. That shit is real. Okay. So a lot of our AI, what I call bioluminescence, a lot of them have been humans, or they take them from the particles of humans. Now, the whole G Mafia that I talk about, Google, Amazon, IBM, Facebook, Apple, what they want is they want the smart cities for those that have the baby Jabberwocky, for those that have bought into all this, and the rich will say, where if you run out of milk, or or if you need surgery, they're going to do surgery right there and then using a drone in your laptop. You know what I mean? You don't even need a laptop. But that's the future that I see, that's what they want. And I don't consent to that because it's all bullshit. What the whole 1984 thing, what I discovered, and this is what they hate me talking about, is if you watch Wonder Woman 1984, that tells it all. First of all, I'll spoil it for you. If you don't want to listen to it, then don't listen to it. But the guy, we'll call him Kirk, he comes back from he's in another body and comes back to Wonder Woman and says, I'm me, I'm back, but I'm in another body, and he can only stay there for a few days, right?
Yeah.
In the first movie, where the guy sees this thing, this artifact, and then somehow it breaks and he inhales it, and that's the Jinn form. Those, I call it all the gods that want to be, in him. He starts telling people, oh, I'm God. I'm. What do you want? You want? Oh, the Arab guy wants to be the best oil person, the most known oil person in Arabia. Okay, fine. He touches him, and then this is what you want. Okay, this is what I want. And he takes his money or whatever the hell, or there's another person. What do you want? Blah blah blah. Okay, well, I'll take your son or I'll take your daughter. You want that wish? He becomes kind of like that, where at the end, his whole plan, and this is what they want. CERN, the whole CERN. I even remote viewed CERN underneath Texas before anybody ever said that CERN was under Texas. With the whole Elon Musk bullshit, I saw that. That's bullshit. And so what I saw, okay, so the movie at the end, he's trying to make himself into billions of satellites in little black dots. He's supposed to put himself in this machine where he dies as a body, but his whole soul comes out with all these satellites all over the world, and he's the god in the tiny forms, light beings. That's what CERN wants, and that's what these elite want. They don't want to go, if you believe in source or justice, they don't want to go back to justice or source. They just want to keep doing what they're doing, marrying children when it's wrong, shit like that, and worse things. So with CERN, this is a time capsule where they're with Project Bluebeam and Alice and Manhattan Project, all the projects we've been used for. They want us to come back to 1984. Why do you think we're stuck in the 80s still? No matter what era you were born. Thank goodness I was born in 71, so I was all into the 80s, and I still dress like the 80s because that's me, and I have been in Edwardian times too. But anyway. They want to take a bunch of sleeper cells, plants, animals, you name it, through CERN, HARP, and all these technologies through to what they call the new Earth. They know that Earth is gonna die because supposedly, Ashiana Din, I don't know if you're familiar with that, comes in and there's wormwood, right, that destroys Earth. Well, these motherfuckers are afraid. They want to live forever. Why do you think Hollywood, kills off their people, but they're living in another place? They're still alive. And that's what they want, and I don't consent to that because. And then a lot of people like Kim Possible. She goes by Kim Possible years ago, and I have had dreams of her in my dream, but she's a very bad person to me in the dream. And I just don't believe, because one time I was saying, well, where's our money? This was years ago. I said, well, how come, I've been in the military, where's our money, and blah, blah, blah. And she looked straight at the camera because I gave a class on what she was giving, the 2 Alice's, the backdoor banking and all that bullshit. So she looked straight at the camera and she said, you who are wondering where your money is, you should be concentrating so that we all can escape Earth and go to the new Earth. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what words she said, but I'm like, fuck you, bitch, I'm not going to go with your plan. I've been awakened, and I'm not going to go back to sleep. I know what these fuckers want. The military, everybody's in on it. And this whole Project Blue in Arizona, I don't consent to that because all this, all this technology, when the whole Wuhan thing happened, and I'll end with this for so you can ask me more questions. I saw that the beings were going flat on the floor, like they were just going, and that's your dream. They were siphoning out people's souls because they were showing the technology to others that were wide and awake. I didn't know back then what it was. I just found out last year. And when I told certain people, they're like, oh, no, that's just, no, you're wrong. That's just another reality. And then what? I got Nancy Planeta on my show last week, and she says, yeah, that's a dark horse technology. And I'm like,
have you watched any? I mean, I have to say, I studied because I see parapsychical entities feeding off other humans. When they call them head turners, once they've been jungle juiced, they have a reaction with it, and I say they turn the frequencies on and they can target you, the MK Ultra, the mind to skull, voice to skull, all of that is real. And when these guys were targeted and you see them starting to turn, there's a few there that are fighting back. You know, I worked in the medical industry. I know what it is to see people that have epileptic fits, you know, and this sort of thing, and different types of seizures and stuff. But when you're watching people who are awake, turning around, actually attacking something that they can see there, and if you watch it closely, you can actually see, like what I was trying to describe earlier about the ships being translucent. You can see a little movement, the change of the surroundings around the people as these things are happening to them. Something is attacking them. So, you know, with the Wuhan stuff, I say when around that same time there was a CERN that went off, and I say they brought something in. Okay, and when they brought something in, the whole epidemic started up. It was already planned as a fallback, and it's like, you know, nothing's ever done without it being a multi-agenda purpose. All right, it's got to have multi-agendas to it. So I don't know if you saw any of that.
What I saw, yes, I saw that they were bringing in something new. But last night I was thinking that what it is they're also bringing in new entities to try and live here on
Yeah,
Earth.
yeah, yeah. I've
Because
seen that DNA
yeah.
when I was working in because I'm a, you know, pathology lab tester. Oh my God, lab tech. And some of the things I was seeing in the blood, I was going and asking questions to, you know, to my higher ups, and they were saying, you don't have the right qualifications for that information, blah, blah, blah. This is before AI. This is before I was right into the computers and stuff. And I'm like, you know, there's stuff going on in the system. This is when they were giving out free flu shots, you know, and nobody thought anything different. And so when the whole jungle juice came out, I saw it as, I can't go near that stuff. I can't, my body won't allow me. I have an immunity to tuberculosis. Yeah, and
Same here. Same
yeah,
here.
one of those things they did to my mother before I even got here. So, you know, yeah.
You know, I just noticed that there's a new being or a new class of being, because in January they started again with stupid masks. I was going to the doctor, you know, and everybody was giving me dirty looks because I was not wearing their mask, and I had to go in for an MRI of my kidneys, and I said, why are people wearing all these masks? And then the girl turns around. She's like, well, you better wear one because it's flu season. And I'm like, I ain't wearing shit. I said, I'm not wearing it. I said, I have PTSD. They just took out my lower left lung. I am not going to wear this. And I have asthma, so I'm not going to wear this crap. And the reason why we have asthma, and like you were saying, we are also, yes, they did give my mother shots before I was born because she couldn't have kids. And she prayed to Jesus in the Catholic Church and just sat there and on her knees and prayed to Jesus and God. If she were to have a child, she was going to name it Jesus, like Jesus. Now, when I was born, they had to give her all kinds of shots when I was born and before I was born, because she's O negative and I'm O negative, and all my family, my grandparents and everything, except for one, she's B negative. She comes from the Basque. On my dad's side, all of us are O negative, okay? I was O negative. They gave her the Rogam shot. So they were giving her shots before I was even born.
Yeah.
And my name is Jesus Veronica. But when I got divorced, I took the Jesus out because I'm like, I'm so tired of being called a guy. Like, I'm not a dude. Yes, I have, you know, my own twin flame is a male myself, male, female. But I was just like, anyway, I went off on a tangent. But I see it shift. I saw the shift, major shift. This full moon.
Yeah, there's been a new one. That last, not this last moon, the one before that, I would say was December maybe. Oh, that was bad. That was bad. And I was like, everybody has to stay calm. If you don't stay calm, they've got you. You know, and I'm watching all sorts of crazy stuff taking off left, right, and center, and people's mood swings. And I go around, I remind people, fast 3 days before the full moon so you're not subjected to the parasitical feedings. I'm not just talking physical parasites, I'm talking about entity parasites as well. So, because they hold on.
Yeah, I can see people too, like you, like the entities. I can see them off of people. Now, when my mom got the baby Jabberwocky, it was so weird because I predicted 5 in 2019. I predicted there was going to be 5. Okay, so I think she had taken the whatever they call it, the sub whatever, it's the main one and then sub whatever they call it. But I noticed one time, it was when I was driving and I picked her up and I was like, what smell? Something reeked so bad. And my mom's a clean person, clean, every day, takes shower, everything. And I was looking at her like, what the hell? Her eyes were turning black. And then on another occasion, she was watching TV and she just stared like this.
She might not have been there. She was on. She was out.
Oh, yeah. I think that's because of the baby Jabberwockies. That was kind of.
When they
notice that?
When they first started bringing that out, I was asked, "What are you noticing?" And the first thing I noticed was the smell. People, because this one of the things about the programs they've put me through. They've, I've been completely blind. I've been completely deaf. I've been a mute. I've been, concussed. I've had near-death experiences. They've put me through little death. That's when you're dead, and then they bring you back right at that peak, and that was a satanic ritual that I went through on a regular process. So, these senses, one sense goes, the rest are heightened. When you've had all of these senses attacked at one stage, they're all going to be heightened, through the process. So this is how I believe my senses were heightened, was through all of these different, attacks, if you want to call it that. Or training, whichever you want to put it into. They're just labels at the end of the day. And I could smell stuff on people. Mm-hmm. It was like they're dying. Something's dead in them. That's not normal for them. And then I started seeing those that I could smell were dying. They literally dropped dead. They literally died a couple of days later or a week later or whatever it was. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I touching onto here? I warned so many people. I walked the streets, mate. I did 3 towns of leaflets in everybody's letterboxes. And the thing I learned there was it doesn't matter about your good intentions. You can put your good intentions out there to the wrong people. You're always going to end up with someone who's going to go, oh, yeah, I'm not going to do that. And they could have been taken out. They could have been, they're bad people. They could have been taken out, but they're not, because I did a good deed. And so I'm a very strong believer that no good deed goes unpunished. Okay?
Same.
I said this like 20 years ago. Now it's coming back to me through different programs. I'm like, oh wow, okay, well I don't know where it came from, but it's out there. So it's like you've got to be cautious of it, and that's where I go into the jinn side of it, the dream, the genie type. You've got to be careful what you wish for, because you'll get it.
But remember, I know that I also come from the jinn line, which is the Jesus and Mary Magdalene. Those are my parents. Okay. So it's weird, because when I started noticing that, I would tell people, okay, well, like there was this young girl that was a singer, and she wanted to go big, and I said, okay, fine, be on my show, because I'm like a jinn. I said, if you want something, come to my show and you'll get it done. 3 days later, she's like, oh my gosh, I hit 2,000 on TikTok. And then I said, because I had told her, I'm going to see you in New York. You're going to be singing in New York. And then guess what? 2 years later, she's in New York. She's like all famous now. Yeah. But it's weird. A lot of people that are on my show, they'll just go galactic. I always say they go galactic. They're going to complete their mission, right? They're going to, because I'm like a fire starter for them. It's like, come on, don't be afraid. We got this. My show is a safe place. You can be yourself. You can cuss if you want, whatever. You can cry, but I see you like that too.
Yeah. Well, it's where I come from is my mission has been just keeping the truth, holding on to the truth, and be as authentic as you possibly can with the truth. You're only lying to yourself. I have that 1% of myself, which is like, I don't know myself 100%. I'm not going to tell anybody out there I know myself 100%, because I don't. Right, so exactly. That 1% keeps me humble. It keeps me in my path. I can't lie to myself, because I've got too many voices telling me, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Me too.
When I go to leave the house, these voices will say, oh, don't forget that. pick up that. Oh, you saw that, and you got to take that with you. And so I don't have a handbag. I have a bucket of.
Yeah, same here.
And there'll always be somebody on my journey that I'll either stop on the side of the road to help with. Oh, you need this. I picked it up today, and it's okay. So that's for you. Or I see somebody at the supermarket, and I was like, the words will come out, and I don't even know where it comes from. And you're delivering a message. I'm like, oh, well, let's get the hell out of the supermarket real fast. I'm an A to B person. It's like, that's my mission. That's what I got to do. I'm not hanging around to talk to nobody. I'm in and out, and let's get back to the bush.
No, it's true. I believe you so much. The other day when I went to the dentist, my sister took me, right? And I guess she was going to take me to another restaurant. I didn't know. I just knew that I was hungry after the dentist. They did a whole check. And then something kept saying, go to Denny's, go to Denny's. And we were in Nogales, Arizona. And I'm like, okay, fine, let's go to Denny's. And then the burger was horrible. Everything was yucky. The sausage tasted like chemicals. She was eating sausage, my sister. And I was trying to enjoy a double burger. And I'm like, what the hell is going on here? And I heard that there was a new cook. But anyway, I didn't want to complain, but it just got to the point where it's too much. So I told the waitress, I go, this tastes like chemicals, and this burger's not. It's not right. Because I'm used to eating the burgers from Costco. I make my own. It's 90-10. 90-10 is the best beef that I have ever, as far as ground beef that I have found in Costco, right? Because they put all the good nutrients in there. Anyway, this looked like it was like white, this burger. I'm like, no. So the long story short, the manager comes and she's like, oh, I'm so sorry, I'll take this off, blah, blah. And then I said, are you okay? Like, how's your day going? And I knew something was going on. And she goes, oh, I just had to put down my dog. And then last week I put down my other dog. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I told my sister, because she said, we could have gone to First Watch after we left. I go, dude, we were there for Sharon. And if Sharon's watching, I love you. I said, another prayer for you today. Another prayer for Lisa. She lost her sister. So I don't like to call them prayers because it's like but you know what I mean? Like it is what it is.
Yeah, there might not have been anything wrong with the burger at all, but you were picking up chemicals, so maybe they chemicals to put the animals down.
You're right.
It's like we're so out of tune, out of touch with our senses that we go, oh, okay. I mean, when you're near people, they've got their auric fields and stuff. They've got their own little world bubbles going on. You just bump it just a little bit with your own. I'm very careful I don't shake hands. I don't touch people because I don't want my past, with all the stuff that I don't want to give them a bad day for, to bring it. As soon as I touch somebody, they can bring up stuff they don't even know where it came from. They had it buried. It was, and it was protected. They were protected because it was buried. I mean, unless you're ready to actually do your own shadow work, you go through PTSD. It's absolutely a major bloody swing around. So I'm cautious who I touch, or even if I bump into somebody, there's always some looking at how did I bump into that person. I mean, I go into a supermarket, I've got to be careful how I touch tins or any metal or the shelves because I get electric shock.
Same here.
I can't wear socks. I can't wear socks or stockings. My feet are 90% of the time are barefoot. Unless
mine too, I'm now.
But you don't want to see my hobbit feet. So
mine are. I call them my alien toes because I've had 7 surgeries on them, and they took bones. They cut here, cut there. They look like alien toes.
My 2 toes next to my big toe were webbed. I've got a scar on the inside of both where they slit it. And on my little pinky toes, I've got 2 toenails on each one. And they're totally separate. You can pull one out. I looked into that, into the genetics of it, and it was something to do with some dynasty, some Chinese dynasty back in the day. So,
is it the Mongolian? Because I was born with the purple blood. I have both. It was blue and yellow bloodline, which is the Alpha Dracos and my redheaded Nephilim step-headed children. Yeah. So they put the Spaniard with the blue eyes and then the big giants with the red green eyes. That's me. I have hazel eyes. Anytime I even if I do dye my hair red, they're still red under. I was born with blonde hair, so I call them. That's our bloodlines that we're talking about. And now I heard that was a Mongolian mark.
Yes.
You ever born like that? Okay, then
I've got.
maybe that's what.
I also look at our past lives, because I have memories of the walk-in vessel genetic side, and then I have memories of me as the soul in this vessel. That's that genetic side. So it's like, okay, and so I've even encountered times when the two have come together and met. At the moment you were talking about something earlier on. Yeah, there was something you were saying earlier on. I've just written it up. It's about, I had this, one of my night terrors. I found myself in, I think it was Manhattan. There were massive celebrations going on. I could see what I was wearing. I was a skirt and the big box heel shoes. And, back in the day, I liked the way I looked back then. And I was walking with my partner. And all of a sudden, I saw the cars come in. They were like the old police type of cars, Ford coupes, and they were black and had a tiny little window in the back of it. And I saw these guys coming towards us, but I didn't think, anything bad or untowards with it. And then they slipped in between me and my partner and separated us. And then two of the guys are walking off with him over there, and they're pushing me further and further away from him. And then before I know it, they're both pulling me into this car. And I'm saying, what about over? And they're like, no, and they threw me in the back of the car. And I'm saying, what about my partner? What about my partner? I obviously knew them somehow, but I haven't put it all together just yet. And when I looked out the back, because the guy that was sitting next to me said, he's going to be in the other car. He's right behind us. So I turned to look out the window, and that's when I felt the butt of his gun hit the back of my head. I was actually in hospital at the time having this experience because I had pneumonia. All right. I somehow touched some some yellow powder that everybody was saying was pollen from the trees. And me being me, I've got to put everything in the gob. So I tasted it, and a couple of days later, I had major fever. We went down to the local doctors, and they just started pumping me full of medications, took me away in an ambulance, and I woke up in hospital having them taking my blood. And I'm like a phlebotomist, and I'm saying, nobody touches my blood. Nobody takes that without my permission. Anyway, I stopped them there and then I can't breathe, and there's nobody attending me to breathe. All I want is a bowl with some eucalyptus oil to clear the lungs and stuff so I can breathe. They've got a woman next to me who's coming from another country who's having heart surgery. Got another woman over the other side who's been given the wrong medication for a back injury, and another one on the opposite side of me saying, "Get out of here, they're going to kill you."
Oh, shit.
So I ended up doing a runner from the hospital while I still had pneumonia, but I would have died. They were going to take me out there and then at the hospital. I knew they were. Yeah, so I have these flashback memories, and I've just actually I'm doing writing again. So these books are coming out. They're going to be coming out. So yeah. Anyway, that these influences, they are like my past life, this physical entity that was proved in reincarnation. When I was younger, we were going up to see a relation at the top of New Zealand, and I knew the location. I recognized it. I was a little kid. I was about 6, 7, and I was getting really excited because I knew the location. That's my swing. That's my swing. When we went around the lake area and the swing was swinging. And so this now biological parents stopped. We went up the long driveway. They had a chat. There was a picture on. I'm really going fast through this. There was a picture on the old lady's mantelpiece. She seemed to be like 100 to me at that age. When you're only little, anybody who's like 100 years old. And it was me. It was me in her photo, and I was able to go and prove that it was my place because I had a secret hiding place for certain toys because my older brothers, I had 3 brothers, the two older ones used to give me shit because I was the only girl. The other brother was a year older than me, and we'd gone for a swim in the pond where the swing was, and I caught pneumonia and I died.
Oh, shit.
And so I've brought that. I've had pneumonia about 3 or 4 times in this lifetime where I've been hospitalized for it. Out of nowhere, I've got pneumonia and I've got to go to hospital.
Same here. I had pneumonia and bronchitis when I was a kid, and my mom was always shooting me up with penicillin, and I'm like, oh my gosh, no.
Yeah.
Now, what you just talked about with the black and white, when you said that, and then the cops coming and splitting you up, can I tell you? I gotta tell you, I've never told you.
They weren't cops, mate. They weren't cops. They were definitely men in black, but they were part of a mob.
I was gonna say mafia. Yeah.
When he hit me over the head, he hit me too hard. All right, and they had to dispose of my body, and my body. I know something else happened to me, and I was drained of blood. That's all I can remember at this point.
Oh, me too, because I just had 2 blood transfusions 2 Januaries ago. Just last January, I should say.
Wow.
So not 2026, not 2025, but 2024. That was, oh shit, yeah. 2 blood transfusions, and I was white. My daughter kept telling me, "Mom, you're white. You need to go to the hospital," because I had the 3 surgeries from the buttocks where they took left to right hips, right? I had the 3 surgeries, and in all those 3 surgeries, they kept saying, "You're at a 6 hemoglobin. You need blood." I'm like, hell no, I ain't gonna do that shit. My blood is the best, and I don't want it to be contaminated. And I even told the nurse, I go, well, if I do, can I have the blood that does not have the baby Jabberwocky or infections? Oh, she looks at her pad. I've never been asked that. I don't know. And I'm like, well, then why would I want the blood if you don't even know if it doesn't have that CV shit? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I kept saying no. I kept negating it. Finally, I was just not eating. Everything that smelled like crap. I just couldn't even stand up. I couldn't walk. I mean, they sent me home necrotic, black. You can see the pictures on my channel because I know I'm on. By the way, I'm on Stone Habits channel called what is it called? So you can tell my people here.
This is Rough Shop Ramblings, and you can find us on YouTube, Rumble. I'm all over the place. Just type in Stone Hobbit and you'll find me in places. Anyway, I'm meant to be interviewing you, not the other way around.
No, I want them to know. It's like you somehow we got live on my show, but it's your show that I'm on.
Yeah.
So anyway, they were supposed to take me out in that hospital, and what I'm trying to say is they had taken me. My daughter said, "You got to go, Mom." So my sister and my mom finally took me to the hospital. They had to take more blood out, and I'm like, "What?" So I ended up fainting. That's when they said no more, because I would say, no, just give me a bag of iodine, which hurt like a motherfucker, because they can't find my, they go in this way and that way, and I'm like, oh gosh, those hurt so bad. They hurt worse than blood transfusion. So I had to be given 2 bags of blood. And I recently had a dream that I'm the cousin of one of the vampires, and I know that I'm a 2nd generation vampire. So I'm not full vampire, but I'm a vampire. I don't know if that makes sense. I know it sounds crazy, but I just recently had a dream where one of my cousins is the main Count Dracula. Okay. And he was showing me these toy soldiers that were actually pictures and things like that. And I was looking at a blueprint of sorts. And then he says, oh, I guess you're the one that's going to have to take me out before this is all over. And I'm like, what? And then here comes fucking Marin. I don't know what her fucking name is. I've never liked her. I don't know who it is. Marin something, Soren or something, with her white blonde hair. Takes my shit, and I'm running after her. And then there's an orgy that happens that everybody's blood is being molded into this thing that people eat, and then they have sex. It's a weird fucking dream. But I need to tell you about the Navy dream, please, because I know it's been 2 hours. I don't know how long you have, but one more.
It's fine. It's fine.
Thank you. Okay, the Navy dream. Maybe you can help me, because I've only told. We did a whole, when I was talking to Jessica Morocco, 4 years ago, she said, hey, let's get on Skype and tell me your dream. Well, she never put it out. And then I couldn't get back to that recording. I don't, somehow it disappeared. But this is what happened. I went to bed, and it was about 4 years ago or so. And dream, my mother shows me a Polaroid. She shows me a Polaroid, black and white. She said, do you remember when you were in the Navy? And I looked at the picture, and I had my white Navy dress and my Navy hat, and I had my fiance was beside me, and his name started with an L that I remember. And we were happy because we had just docked. World War II baby's over. We're going to go party. We're going to go get married. Okay. We're going down the pier, and he has his green duffel bag and I have mine. I wish I could show you, but it's not wish. Don't say that. Shh. I returned to sender. Don't ever say wish, because then they want something from me. So I'll send you a picture of the actual old Belize. I call it Belize because my nana was French. Belize is like a wooden metal luggage that's square. Belize. And I'm carrying that. And remind me about that after I end this. So I wake up and I go to the restroom. I'm like, that was weird. What the heck? So I go back thinking about the picture that I just saw. I go back into the dream, to the astral, to this thing really happened. Okay, I woke up crying. So there was this man in the room, and my mom and I were still talking about this picture. My daughter was there. And then I go back into the picture. I go back into this dream, and I pick up the scene. I'm saving this little girl that has like pigtails. She's like light skin, wearing a little dress, crying, and then I save her. I take her to Peter the Insider, of all people. Peter the Insider is on top of the Elvis building, where Elvis had his building in Las Vegas. And I go in there, and he's behind this glass thing where, you go to the meat market and you ask for your stuff. It's like that, but yellow. And you couldn't even see him, but it's Peter. And then the girl runs around and gives him a hug. And you know how Peter is. You can't talk to him unless, And I saw Peter, and I gave him a hug too. And he goes, you're not supposed to be here. And I go, please take care of this little girl. I have to go find clothing. I don't know if she wears a diaper. I don't know. Let me go back to the ship, which is the U.S. Navy ship. And I forget the name because I have been on the SS Lorraine with Max Spears. And that's another mission through the museums and the red carpet that I wrote about. You guys can read about. And then I give her the little child for now. I said, I'm going to go back to the ship. I go back to the ship, and I go through the lockers because they have these old school lockers, metal. And I'm looking in there. They have Johnson & Johnson baby powder, which I'm not affiliated with that. They have diapers. They have clothes. They have all kinds of stuff just for kids, whoever. And I take a bunch. I take towels and give her a shower. And I come out, and I come down to, you have to go down to where they have the luggage, and they have, where the stowaways kind of go. I don't remember what that is, that place under the ship. And they have my fiance there. They have him in a chair, and they have a sack of potatoes over him, and he's tied up, and I can't see him. And there's two guys. They say, if you ever want to see your fiance again, you have to give us that little girl or do something for us. And I wake up in tears, crying. To this day, I don't know who he is. But a long time ago, the person that I was living with, and I'm kind of like weird about what she just said, what she told me, because I said, where is my loved one? Where I know I have a twin flame who is a male. Because after that, after you told me that love is a program, I said, fuck that shit too, right? But during this time, it was like 2018 when she told me, she says, well, how do you know your love or your husband isn't on a ship out there? Yeah. How do you know he's not like, maybe he's in the military, maybe he's in outer space, and he has his own ship and he's waiting for you. How do you know that? And I said, what? So that night I had a dream where I woke up on my bed in my little room that I had, and to the corner of where my drawer set was, my bureau, there was a man there, but I couldn't see him. He was in static. He was all static. And he made love to me that night. And later on, I find out that it's Max Spears and that I have twins with him, a boy and a girl. But that's really interesting, and really don't want to get into that because there's a hoopla right now with the whole secret space program people. They've gone nuts, and everybody's at each other's throats, and they're sending me messages. Oh, this person is not good, and he's CIA, and that person. I'm like, just leave me alone, you know?
Yeah. No, I kind of had my feed of that a couple of months ago, and it's like, you know, I don't really give a shit. I really don't. I'm on my own mission, and when you guys come back down to Earth, we will, you know, reconnect. But, you know, my bullshit radar is on with 90% of those guys now. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't matter where they come from or what they've done and stuff like this. It's like, if you're not here right now, boots on the ground, telling the truth as you're aware of it and stuff, and allowing yourself for that growth, then I don't want to partake. I don't want to participate in your, you know, in their rubbish. I really don't. You know, it's like, no, you just sell out. Stop selling out to the highest, because it's like we're trained in different ways not to be a sellout. So,
you know what's weird, Stone, is that I went to Savannah. I was invited to go, everything paid, to Savannah like 3 years ago. And we went to the town, we did some karaoke, and there was a young man there. He was maybe 15 years younger than I was. And that was Al. Morocco said his name was Lenny. And I'm like, well, I don't know what his name was.
I got Leonard before.
Really?
Okay, and it was an old name, and it was Leonard, and I saw the green satchel bag with two handles, and it was round. It was pretty much a round, you know, it had round ends on it. So, but I got Leonard before, so.
That's interesting. I'm glad I told you. And I met him at the karaoke bar, and we were dressed up because it was Halloween, and I was dressed up like Death. And he said, I believe you. Yeah, Death, muerte, you know, in my veil. I posted it on Facebook long ago. But I thought, was it me or the alcohol talking? But he said he loved me, that he couldn't, he was so young. I think maybe 18 years younger than I was. But he said, I love you. I believe you. I said, do you think I'm crazy? Is it the alcohol? He says, no, I believe you. I am him. I am your fiance from the Navy back then. And I'm like, what? He was like thin, you know, country boy, long hair, so gorgeous. And he said, I can't stay with you, though. And he told me, now, I don't know if this is code. Could be. He said, it could be, and you're going to help me with this. I think it is. He said he was on Stevie Nicks. He was on the road with Stevie Nicks, and that he couldn't stay with me that night because I was leaving the next day. And I'm like, just stay with me. We don't have to do anything. I have this huge, you know, resort with my friends here. They have, you know, we're just here. We're not doing anything, you know, after the party. And we can go out to breakfast or whatever. And he said, no, I got to go. And I just find it really interesting because it may not make sense to anyone listening, maybe, but I know it to you, it does. And that night, the night before, I had dressed up like the Hulk, like the She-Hulk. Okay. And my friend, we'll call her Mary, she had gifted me Nike green shoes, the Air Max, the nice ones, the high tops. Okay. She painted them green for me. She gave me a green army jacket, like all green. But that night, some other guy took it because one of the older ladies ended up hooking up with this really young kid. And he ended up taking my jacket. And I was so pissed off. I'm like, why would you give him the jacket? Oh, because there was a knock on the door and he was naked. And I'm like, what? Oh my God. These ladies one of the ladies was crazy. Like, she totally went for the young guys all the time and got drunk all the time. I'm like, I can't hang out with you. Like, this is not me.
Yeah.
So that jacket went missing. That guy was there. It's just weird. When I went to Savannah, I had a dream where I had been going into this place that was upstairs, and then there was the bar area, and in front of the screen there was these shrimp. There were shrimp dancing on the screen, but this was a slave trade. When I go to Savannah, I'm like, holy shit, this restaurant, that is here. This that is here on this street. I told Mary, this was in my dream. This is where the slave trade was happening. And I was there. And she's like, do you know that connects to the Undertunnel in Washington, D.C.? Because her dad was CIA. And he would get picked up in a limo. And she said she found all these photo IDs of him different ways. And you know what I find funny? That reminds me of, do you know how many IDs I have? I have 10 Arizona driver's license because I've lost them. And I've had to go get new ones. So what does that tell you?
Yeah. I don't know if you're losing or if they're being taken.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or if my alters are like, hey, I gotta hide this one. Now you gotta get a new one.
When you were talking about that place and the shrimp trade and stuff, I've been to places that on the exterior look like a human building and stuff. You go into it, there's just something that doesn't sit right. The smells, the music, even though they're playing music, that's not the same music. And then you've got the humans, and then you've got the non-humans. When you were talking about it, reminded me of a scene out of one of the Men in Black movies where they've got I think they go into, I don't remember the movie very well, but they go into an underground base under a building, and then you've got all these different species coming and going, like an airport sort of thing. And it was like that. I've known a couple of places like that, and I've called them meat markets in the past because there's always some being coming in to trade on these other beings, not just humans. So, and they use these places. So when I've seen children going missing, I've been one of these farm children myself. You see it and you can recognize it. You can recognize who's doing it to each other. So these places are everywhere. They're not just one or two buildings anymore. I was doing a group with a couple of people at one stage, and I was asked about the deep underground bases. And I know one of the ones that I went into, it was the entry. Oh, here we go.
Fuckers.
I've been good the whole time. Oh, it's going. Okay, so when I saw it, it was just like a tin shed with a couple of bags on the outside, and it was a builder's site, and I saw people going into it, and there's no way that amount of people could fit into it. So I went into it, and there was a trap door there. So I went down under that trap door, and straight away it was like, whoa, all of this came flooding back to me. There were cages with human children. They were all actually different ages, and there were even adults towards the other end. There were adults towards the other end. I was taken into another space. It was like somebody knew who I was, and I'd been there, and I'd been one of these caged animals. This is basically what they were calling us at the time, and I'd outgrown that purpose, and now I was on the inside, and they were taking me to another room, and I couldn't do anything to save these people. And then when I got all of that flood come back in, I'm telling these people that I was meditating with and other living people around me, and then a couple of weeks later, a place in Australia got busted for absolutely. Yeah. So it's like, we get this little bit of information. There's a bigger picture to it. You don't judge yourself and say, oh, it's a stupid dream, I shouldn't have dreamed that. When we pick up on frequency all around us all the time. So
yeah, no, I do believe you, because that reminded me of a dream that I had 4 months ago where I'm in London, and somehow I end up it's like Lord of the Rings or something like that, in that kind of a town. And then I take a turn to go in between the buildings, and guess what? There's these two men. They're not in black, but they're just two men, scrawny, and they just don't look like it's good news. And they open a door, and it goes into teepees.
Yeah.
It goes into an underground base. Yeah. And I got the fuck out of there. I'm like, nope. I went up the stairs instead and woke up. But when I was in Savannah, it's funny that you say that you're in a place, but it feels different. my friend and I had never experienced this ever, racism.
Oh,
We had sat down, okay, because we had sat down, and it was 20 minutes, and no one came to say, "Hey, may I help you?" Or a waitress will be with you. Nothing for 20 minutes. Then we went to another restaurant where it was a buffet, and it was just all white people again. No offense, because I have white people friends, but the girl says, "Oh, we'll be closing in 20 minutes," and there's a long ass line behind us, and she had dyed her hair strawberry red. I don't know if it was that, but she's like Puerto Rican, and I don't know what it was, if it was me, because I think now having this conversation is because they knew I was there. They didn't want me near them. So we ended up eating out of that Savannah town, somewhere else. We ended up eating at a Puerto Rican place. It was the best food ever. They gave us loads and loads of food. You know me, I love to eat, because when I was a kid, I was starved, because they had to give my daddy the meat, and me, I had to keep the potatoes and stuff. But that's what I experienced. But I need to go to the restroom. Can I go real quick and you keep talking?
Yeah. Okay. Well, we have been going for nearly 3 hours.
Okay. Wow.
Do you? I sort of feel like we should probably wrap this up and then do a take 2 in a couple of days or something.
Yes. Let's do
it. I'm enjoying this conversation, and I think knowing you the way I do, I'm pretty sure we can go for hours. It's like one of those, you meet somebody, like you're on the phone to them all night.
Yes. Like 24 hours. Oh my gosh, we've been on the phone 24 hours. What? It only seemed like maybe 30 minutes.
Yeah. Okay, so let's just wrap it up for now.
Okay.
We can do a take 2. I never even got to the questions, girl. But I really enjoyed it. I want to definitely do this again. So I have to say thank you to everybody who's come along and participated. We are going to do this again. So just keep an eye out for, when we go in a message, put the messages out there. And Veronica, I appreciate you in so many different ways for just, coming on, being.
Stone, what happened? It kicked you off. Stone. Kristen.
Oh, geez, see, I told you it happens. I told you. I warned you.
I'm like,
and that's a bit freaky, because I just said we were going to wrap it up, and boom, they just got to say, yeah, you are. Anyway, as I was saying, thank you for coming along and sharing. Do you want to put any last information and stuff out there? And we will be definitely doing this again.
I just want to say thank you to the people that were watching. Dave Walker, he's been listening since day one. Recreational, and all those that were watching on my channel. Like I said, this is Stone Hobbit's show, but we'll be on again. Thank you all for being here. I am Veronica Bartolini. You can find me on YouTube as Unchained Hearts, and Codebreaker Real Talk. I'm on Rumble, which is Draco3333. I'm on Substack, X, Facebook. I have 2 Instagrams, one for my junk journals. I make junk journals. They range, and they're all handmade, anywhere from $55 to $500. It depends what you want. They're all unique. None are the same. I wrote 3 books finally after this whole cancer hit, and it's called, one of them is Sheila and the 99, the big one. That's 301 pages. It has all my 5 classes notes in there as well. Talks about the Hulk program, and then the Dolphin program as well. The second one, which should have been the first one, was going to be called My Naked Truths, a Female Cop, but I actually wrote it as this Secret Space Program, My Life in the Secret Space Program. The third one is Sheila, Wolverine, Mars, and Montauk. And I'll be at the Crying Onion in Tucson, Arizona on Sunday to speak there about Project Blue, along with John DeSouza. He's a former FBI agent. And then on Saturday, I'll be at the Metaphysical Place that I talked about earlier, and I'll be doing readings, selling my books and my junk journals. So thank you so much, Stone Hobbit, for having me on. I love you tons. I appreciate you a lot, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.